Chapter 4160. Brother Lai Rong, this is a plan that we worked so hard to execute. We can't let it be ruined because of this. If you call back that old fellow, I can tell you with certainty that you'll be on your way before that old fellow returns. Z looked coldly at Lai Rong. Those mysterious purple eyes were already filled with ferocious killing intent. Seeing those purple eyes filled with killing intent, Lai Rong's body went soft. His original intention to send a message was immediately extinguished. He knew Ziyu's personality very well. She was a lunatic who kept her word. If he really sent a message to the black-robed elder, Ziyu would really kill him, regardless of whether he was a genius of the Nuwa clan or not. After all, Ziyu's background was much greater than his. Even if she killed him, the Nuwa clan might not necessarily stand up for him. Why should he do such a thankless thing? Lai Rong's expression was ugly. He stood silently to the side, his eyes filled with resentment. Hey, Lai Rong, you look like you're not convinced? Ziyu grinned at Lai Rong. Convinced? How can I not be convinced? Lai Rong said through gritted teeth. Boom! Suddenly, an extremely terrifying and earth-shattering explosion came from the distant battlefield. Invisible sound waves spread rapidly in all directions in the form of a ring. Many cultivators could not help but cover their ears, their faces filled with pain. Su Zhou, Ziyu, and the others stood on a mountain peak and looked into the distance. They were all rather curious about the outcome of this extremely violent collision. Many cultivators subconsciously believed that Duan Jipeng was dead for sure. No matter how strong he was, how could he withstand the combined attacks of so many great tribulation experts? In the battle, the dazzling brilliance had already been annihilated. Then, an incomparably huge light figure appeared between heaven and earth. It was mighty and extraordinary. The light figure exuded an ancient and terrifying aura. On its surface, dense patterns of laws surged. It looked very solemn, and in the center of this light figure, Duan Jipeng stood tall with a calm expression. The dozen or so great tribulation experts who had been besieging Duan Jipeng under the lead of Mo Faiyu and the green-robed elder were all pushed back by the recoil. They were all in a very sorry state. Cosmic aspect? Didn't they say that this guy hadn't condensed his cosmic form yet? Why does he have a cosmic Dharma idol? Mo Fengyu was shocked. He stared in disbelief at the enormous light shadow that surrounded Duan Jipeng. The aura of this light figure was too vast. It was as boundless as the ocean. It was a cosmic form. However, upon closer inspection, one could see that this cosmic Laksana was slightly dim. Although its aura was terrifying, it was slightly ancient and did not seem as vigorous as a newly formed cosmic Laksana. Brother Suzhou, what's going on? He clearly hasn't condensed his cosmic form yet. So why did he use it? In the distant mountain peak, Ziyu's purple eyes were also shocked as she looked at the huge Dharma image in the distance. She was also in a daze. Su Zhou frowned slightly, and he seemed to be lost in thought as he said, This isn't his cosmic projection. I've seen a true cosmic projection, and it's one that's filled with vitality and spirit. However, this Dharma form was lifeless and dull. Clearly, it was obviously this cosmic projection is incomplete. Its true owner has already fallen. You mean that this cosmic projection was actually obtained by this person from the tomb, and it's also the cosmic projection of the tomb's owner? Ziyu blinked. It should be. Otherwise, a true cosmic projection would have been able to destroy all the other great tribulation experts in one blow, except for Mo Fengyu and the green-robed elder, Su Zhou said indifferently. After Mo Fengyu and the green-robed elder had put some distance between them and observed for a while, they had also discovered some clues. This isn't his cosmic projection at all. It's much weaker than a true cosmic projection. Everyone, don't be afraid. If we join forces, we should be able to defeat him, Mo Fengyu shouted. After receiving Mo Fengyu's reminder, the originally timid experts also noticed that Duan Jipeng's cosmic projection was different. They all secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Then, under the leadership of Mo Fengyu and the green-robed elder, They once again joined forces to attack Duan Jiping. This time, no one dared to be careless. They all took out their own trump cards. Duan Jiping narrowed his eyes and took a step forward. The huge cosmic projection seemed to merge with him. It moved in unison with his step. Boom! The cosmic projection punched out with its right fist. The air exploded, space collapsed, and time reversed. With a single punch, the entire world seemed to tremble. Its power was terrifying. Mo Fengyu, the green-robed elder, and more than a dozen other Great Tribulation experts also used their own abilities and trump cards. Their attacks were also extraordinary. Boom, boom, boom. The two sides once again clashed. More than a dozen figures flew around the huge cosmic projection, constantly launching their own attacks. Multicolored light was once again released around the cosmic projection. This time, because they had used their full strength, the cosmic projection was indeed somewhat affected. The light on its surface had also dimmed a little. Mo Fengyu, the green-robed elder, and the others were overjoyed to see this. They knew that the cosmic projection was not complete, and its power was not as terrifying as they had imagined. They had a chance to defeat it. Duan Jiping narrowed his eyes, but he did not panic. He calmly controlled the cosmic projection. This cosmic projection was naturally Lu Yinhua's. He had absorbed the essence of the laws of Lu Yinhua's cosmic projection and was extremely familiar with the laws of Lu Yinhua's cosmic projection. He used the essence of the laws he had absorbed to create a temporary cosmic Dharma idol. However, this temporary cosmic projection was not his own. It was Lu Yinhua's cosmic projection, and it was an incomplete version. Its power could not be compared to the complete cosmic projection. Even so, it was still far more powerful than the peak experts of the Great Tribulation of Universe. In the beginning, Duan Jiping was not familiar with the control of the cosmic projection, so he did not use its full power. This allowed Mo Fengyu and the others to take advantage of the loophole and fall into a disadvantage. However, as time passed, Duan Jiping became more and more familiar with the cosmic projection. Finally, he could control it as if it was his own arm. Suddenly, the huge cosmic projection lifted its right foot and stomped down hard. Its speed was so fast that it took almost the blink of an eye. The two early Great Tribulation experts who had been secretly attacking the cosmic projection's foot had no time to dodge and were directly stomped down. These two pitiful early-stage universe tribulation experts didn't even have the chance to let out a scream before they were crushed into powder by this stomp. Even their souls were completely annihilated under the tearing of the laws. Hiss. Chapter 4161. Get out of the way. Mo Fengyu and the green-robed elder were the first to react. They shouted and quickly distanced themselves from the Dharma idol. After Mo Fengyu and the green-robed elder shout, the other surviving experts of the Great Tribulation of Universe finally reacted. They immediately used their movement techniques to escape. You think you can come and go as you please? Do you really think I'm easy to bully? Duan Jiping shook his head and sneered. He was extremely nimble, as if he had turned into a killing machine. The huge Dharma idol waved its four limbs and moved extremely quickly. In the blink of an eye, another 4 or 5 cultivators were either trampled to death or slapped to death. The unluckiest guy was directly grabbed by Fa Xiang's hands and torn into 2 halves. Blood fell like rain, and it was very miserable. Among those who were killed, most were experts of the early and middle stages of the Great Tribulation of Universe. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Duan Jiping and the green-robed elder landed in the air above a dense forest in the distance, looking warily at the Dharma idol that was on a killing spree. There were only 5 cultivators who had escaped with them, and all of them were at the late stage of the Great Tribulation of Universe or higher. Otherwise, the 3 of them might not have been able to escape. The 3 of them included Mo Liuhua and the black-robed elder who had been protecting Lai Rong. What a cunning guy. He deliberately pretended to be weak at the beginning so that we would take the bait and then kill us. Mo Fengyu was flustered and exasperated. Although this Dharma idol is incomplete, it's too powerful. It's not something we can deal with. Everyone, We won't keep you company. Of the 5 survivors, 3 of them were at the late stage of the Great Tribulation of Universe. They cupped their fists at Mo Feng Yu and the others and left decisively. They didn't have a strong background, so it wasn't easy for them to cultivate to such a level. They didn't want to lose their lives here for nothing. For them, the gains didn't make up for the losses. In an instant, only 2 people were left with Mo Feng Yu and the green-robed elder. They were Mo Liuhua and the black-robed elder. Mo Feng Yu and the green-robed elder's expressions immediately turned ugly. They hadn't expected the final outcome to turn out like this. It was really beyond their expectations. However, they were very unwilling to let a cooked duck fly away. How could they be willing? But when they saw the Dharma idol not far away, their eyelids twitched and their hearts were full of dejection. Boom, boom, boom. Duan Jiping strode forward, stopping when he was several dozen zhang away from Mo Feng Yu and the others. Duan Jiping's sharp gaze, and said indifferently, "Do you still want to fight? If you want to fight to the end, I'll keep you company." Mo Feng Yu and the other 3 gnashed their teeth, their eyes filled with unwillingness. They did not withdraw their auras. Instead, they surged even more violently. "You too, of course. Fine, I'll grant to." Duan Jiping's eyes shone with a sharp light as he strode towards Mo Feng Yu and the green-robed elder. From the heavens, of the great tribulation of the great die, to the end of universe. "Fight!" Mo Feng Yu shouted and took out a blood saber. The blade of the blood saber was 7 feet long, and the hilt was also 7 feet long. The entire saber was 14 feet long. Countless strange veins were drawn on the blade of the blood saber. These veins were like the meridians in the human body, pulsing rhythmically. This is the god-slaying blood saber, a rank 7 astral weapon fragment. It's extremely powerful. Rumor has it that when Mo Feng Yu was in the late stage of the cosmic tribulation, he used this god-slaying blood saber to kill a peak expert of the cosmic tribulation. The green-robed elder looked at the blood saber in Mo Feng Yu's hand in shock. He knew that this blood saber was the most precious treasure of the Witch God clan. For countless years, the Witch God clan had launched many realm wars against the nearby lower realms in order to worship this astral weapon. They had also used countless creatures from other realms as sacrifices to support this astral weapon. For this reason, the number of creatures that had died to this astral weapon was simply immeasurable. There were hundreds of millions of them. Elder Gu, you don't have to hide it. I also know that you also have a rank 7 astral weapon fragment. You've killed a lot of people in order to support that astral weapon of yours. After taking out the god-slaying blood saber, Mo Feng Yu glanced at the green-robed elder and spoke calmly. The green-robed elder frowned slightly. He hadn't expected Mo Feng Yu to know so much about him. He actually knew that he also had a rank 7 astral weapon fragment. "Old friend, don't hesitate. If we can't defeat this person today, wouldn't all our efforts be in vain after we spent so much effort to break into this tomb? Are you willing to suffer a double loss?" Mo Feng Yu said with a frown. The green-robed elder smiled bitterly. "Of course I'm not willing. Forget it, forget it. I'll just fight it out with you. After all, we can't return empty-handed." With that, the green-robed elder clenched his right hand. At some point, a wooden staff had appeared in his palm. The wooden staff's shape was uneven and twisted. It looked like an irregular wooden staff made of many twigs intertwined together. The wooden staff's appearance could be described as very ugly. The only thing worth noticing was that at the center of the semicircle at the top of the wooden staff, there was a pearl that flickered with gray light. The pearl released a gray light that would occasionally reveal all sorts of sinister ghost faces. It would also emit a terrifying howl that shook one's soul. Deadwood Ghost Staff. "So that's in your hands. No wonder you've been hiding it all this time." Mo Feng Yu chuckled as he looked at the wooden staff in the green-robed elder's hand. The green-robed elder's face was covered in frost. "Mo Feng Yu, cut the crap. Let's attack together. As long as we defeat this person, we'll split their belongings 50-50. Mo Feng Yu frowned slightly. Although he felt that the green-robed elder was a little greedy, he didn't say anything. After all, he had to join forces with the green-robed elder now. 50-50 was considered fair. Blood tied against the heavens. Mo Fengyu wielded the enormous god-slaying blood blade that was even longer than he was and slashed upwards. Instantly, a blood-colored blade light soared into the sky. At first, it was just a wisp of blood-colored light, but it grew more and more dazzling. In the blink of an eye, it dyed the entire sky. At this moment, it was as if the entire sky was filled with the color of blood. As the blood-colored light soared into the sky, the strong stench of blood instantly swept through the surroundings and disturbed the mind. Chapter 4162. Boom! The blood-red saber light that seemed to be able to cut down the sky finally collided with the huge palm. The terrifying aftershock of the collision made the entire world seem to collapse. Immediately after a short exchange, the blood-red saber light suddenly fell into a disadvantage. The terrifying blood-red light was immediately suppressed by the golden light. Elder, what are you still hesitating about? Why aren't you attacking? Mo Fengyu grunted and suddenly shouted at the green-robed old man, who was hesitating beside him. The green-robed elder took a deep breath. Knowing that this was not the time to hesitate, he took out the withered wood ghost staff. The withered wood ghost staff left his hand and swept toward the huge palm of the Dharma idol in the sky. The pearl at the top of the staff released a strong gray light. The blazing gray light rolled and condensed together, revealing a sinister-looking shadow that was no weaker than the Dharma idol. At a closer look, this shadow was formed by many sinister-looking little ghosts. In the end, it became the all-powerful Great Ghost. The Great Ghost let out a shrill roar. It raised its hands, grabbed the suppressed blood saber, and suddenly raised it. The Dharma idol's right hand, which originally had an overwhelming advantage, was lifted by the combined power of the two rank 7 astral weapon fragments. It could no longer be pressed down. The Great Ghost stepped through the air. Its right hand pulled back, and the blood-red saber light, formed by the god-slaying blood saber, turned into its blood saber. It nimbly tangled with the Dharma idol. The shock waves caused by the battle between the two huge figures were extremely terrifying. The aftershock of each collision could cause the earth to crack, the sky to dim, and time to reverse. Many of the onlookers had no choice but to retreat far away because of this. They watched the battle between the two huge figures with fear in their eyes. In Duan Jipeng's Qinquan world, Zhuowen silently watched the combined power of the two rank 7 astral weapon fragments. He licked his lips and said, "Brother Duan, I want these two rank 7 astral weapon fragments. Can you take them?" Duan Jipeng was focused on dealing with the great ghost that was attacking with the blood saber. When he heard Zhuowen's words, he was slightly startled at first and then nodded. He did not ask the reason. In his opinion, he was the one who had benefited the most from entering the tomb, but the one who had contributed the most was Zhuowen. Therefore, he had always felt guilty. Now, since Zhuowen wanted these two rank 7 astral weapon fragments, he naturally had to snatch them and give them to Zhuowen by any means. The huge Dharma idol's aura suddenly changed. Duan Jipeng originally wanted to play around, so he did not use his full strength. Now, he didn't need to hide anymore. He directly pushed the power of the cosmic form to the maximum. Blazing golden light filled the Transcendence Avatar's body as the precepts began to circulate at an extremely fast speed. The power of the precepts that had been set off around it had also become much more terrifying. Under Duan Jipeng, to the Dharma idol, to the Dharma idol, to the great to the sky, to the great to the idol. The great ghost was not to be outdone. It roared at the sky and slashed out the blood saber in its hand. It was not afraid of the Dharma idol's attack at all. Suddenly, the huge golden palm print and the blood saber collided again. This time, the scene of them being evenly matched did not repeat itself. The huge palm print smashed the blood saber into pieces and then slammed into the great ghost's chest. The great ghost screamed. Countless gray ghost faces on its huge body screamed in unison. Then, because these ghost faces felt a fatal threat, they quickly broke free and left the great ghost body. The Dharma idol was expressionless. It lifted the great ghost and slammed its left hand in front of the great ghost. Each palm was filled with terrifying power, causing the great ghost to scream in fear. Shrill screams continued to be heard. The Dharma idol slammed out 7 palms with great momentum. The great ghost finally could not bear it and collapsed, turning into countless gray mist. In the middle of the gray mist, the withered wood ghost staff at its core revealed its true form. The Dharma idol picked up the withered wood ghost staff and threw it into Duan Jipeng's hands. Duan Jipeng chuckled and looked at the withered wood ghost staff in his hand, a trace of satisfaction in his eyes. After the Dharma idol finished off the great ghost, the blood saber that had been knocked to the ground wailed and turned into a beam of blood light, flying toward Emofonyu. Duan Jipeng sneered. He suddenly raised his foot, and a huge foot formed by countless laws stomped down heavily. The Godslayer blood blade was stomped deep into the ground, and cracks appeared on the blade surface. Puchi! After the withered wood ghost staff and the God-slaying blood saber were defeated by Duan Jipeng, Emofonyu and the green-robed elder, who were originally closely related to the two weapons, turned pale and vomited blood. They were suffering from the backlash of their respective star weapons. So he didn't use his full strength from the beginning. Emofonyu and the green-robed elder were shocked. Their eyes were filled with fear and unwillingness. Duan Jipeng chuckled and took the God-slaying blood saber out of the ground. At this moment, the God-slaying blood saber lying in the Dharma idol's hand trembled continuously. It was completely obedient and didn't dare to run anymore. Brother Zhua, you can have these 2 astral weapons. Duan Jipeng sent the 2 star weapons into the Qinquan world. In the Qinquan world, Zhuowen silently looked at the withered wood ghost staff and the god-slaying blood saber in front of him. These 2 star weapon fragments, which were originally arrogant and unruly, were now trembling obediently and didn't dare to resist at all. Zhuowen didn't stand on ceremony with Duan Jipeng. These 2 star weapon fragments were indeed very useful to him. After putting away the 2 star weapon fragments, he looked outside, still paying attention to Emofonyu and the others. At this moment, Emofonyu and the green-robed elder were seriously injured. Even their star weapon fragments had been taken away from them. This made their expressions very ugly. Emo Liuhua and the black-robed elder were both terrified. Duan Jipeng was really too terrifying. Emofonyu and the green-robed elder had taken out their rank 7 star weapon fragments and still weren't his match, let alone the 2 of them. Ancestor, are you all right? Emo Liuhua hurriedly went over to support the tottering Emofonyu and asked worriedly. Emofonyu waved his hand, but his expression was so gloomy that it could almost drip water. But more than that, it was fear. Do the 2 of you still want to fight? Duan Jipeng didn't press the advantage. Instead, he hovered in the Dharma idol and looked down at Emofonyu and the green-robed elder. Although his gaze was focused on Emofonyu, his divine consciousness carried a terrifying pressure that spread out in all directions. In the distance, the cultivators hiding in the dark all felt Duan Jipeng's display of power and trembled all over. The last bit of hope in their hearts disappeared. Emofonyu and the green-robed elder were the representatives of this group, representing their highest battle strength. Moreover, these 2 had even taken out their rank 7 star weapon fragments, but they were still easily crushed by Duan Jipeng. Chapter 4163. Damn, it won't end like this, will it? Z was dumbfounded. He was also shocked by Duan Jipeng's sudden display of power. More than a dozen Great Tribulation experts had joined forces, but they had been defeated just like that. More than half of them had been killed, including Emofonyu and the green-robed elder. Even when he played all his cards, he was still easily crushed. Suzhou sighed lightly and said, "The outcome has been decided. I never expected that man surnamed Duan's comprehension ability would be so high. He was actually able to control the cosmic phenomenon of the Tomb Master so skillfully in such a short period of time. Brother Suzhou, you mean that we don't have any chance? Ziyu asked tentatively. Suzhou shrugged and said, You're right, we really don't have a chance. Unless you call those old fellows from your clan over to support you, you might be able to snatch it. Ziyu smiled embarrassedly. Suzhou, you must be joking. If I tell this to those old fellows in the clan, not only will they not help me, but they will also laugh at me, thinking that I even went to such a low-level place as the Tomb of the Universal Law. This was too degrading. Then wouldn't my reputation be ruined? Suzhou faintly smiled. He and Ziyu were both heaven's favored children and had their own pride. Although the forces behind each of them were extremely powerful, they would never easily rely on the power of their respective forces. After all, a young eagle that grew up under protection would be unable to become successful in the end. Only by experiencing true tempering would it be able to temper a pair of truly solid and reliable wings and freely soar above the 9 heavens. What should we do next? Are we just going to leave here, empty-handed? Ziyu said somewhat uninterestedly. Of course not. I'm very interested in Zhuowen. Back when he was only at the late ancient star transformation stage, he wasn't any weaker than me. Even the guy who ranked first on the Heaven Domain list didn't have such potential. As far as I know, Zhuowen's potential is comparable to that of the original. He must be the guy who caused a sensation on the Outer Realm heavenly ranking. Suzhou narrowed his eyes and muttered to himself. Brother Suzhou, are you talking about Sakyamuni? You think too highly of this Zhuowen. He can't be compared to Sakyamuni. He was simply a monster. It's unprecedented and will never be replicated. Ziyu frowned. These two geniuses who were ranked in the top 5 of the Outer Realm leaderboard could not help but feel heavy pressure whenever they thought of Sakyamuni's name. Back then, this name was like a dazzling star, rising among the younger generation in the Outer Realm. He had only used 3 days to ascend to first place on the Outer Realm heavenly ranking, because he had consecutively challenged the top 3 powerhouses on the Outer Realm heavenly ranking, defeating 1 person in 1 day and 3 in 3 days. Since then, he had become the undisputed number 1 genius on the Outer Realm heavenly ranking. It was said that even the archaic Heavenly Tao Academy was alarmed because of this. Many old fellows were paying close attention to this new rising star, and they frequently extended olive branches. What was even more shocking was Sakyamuni's cultivation speed. He had only been ranked first on the World Beyond Realms heavenly list for less than half a year before he disappeared from the list. There were only 2 reasons for disappearing from the list. One was that he had been defeated and his ranking had been replaced. The second was that he had broken through to the Great Carefree Realm and was automatically erased from the list. Sakyamuni had obviously not been defeated. He had broken through and smoothly entered the Great Carefree Realm. He automatically left the Outer Realm heavenly ranking. Suzhou remembered that this was only 3 years ago. With Sakyamuni's terrifying cultivation speed, his cultivation might have gone even further now. He was far ahead of them, the so-called geniuses who were still stuck at the peak of Guxing. This was also why Ziyu was so surprised when she learned that Suzhou had compared Zhuowen to the naughty Shiva. In Ziyu's eyes, Sakyamuni was definitely the strongest genius in the history of the Outer Realm heavenly list. It was almost impossible for his peers to surpass him. He had already become a legend on the Outer Realm heavenly list and was irreplaceable. Suzhou smiled faintly. I have seen Sakyamuni once. I can feel that this child's eyes are similar to Sakyamuni's in some sense. In addition, he is indeed powerful and extraordinary. That's why I compared him to Sakyamuni. Of course, the gap between him and Sakyamuni is not small. I only said that he has the potential. Why are you so anxious? Ziyu froze for a moment. Her face was slightly red. She muttered, So that's how it is. If that's the case, then I'm relieved. Come with me to meet them. Maybe we can have a chance to cooperate with them. Suzhou said unfathomably. Ziyu did not think too deeply about Suzhou's words. She curled her lips and followed behind Suzhou. At this moment, Zhuowen had already walked out of Duan Jipeng's Qingquan world. He stood side by side with Duan Jiping in front of Mo Fengyu and the green-robed elder. Mo Fengyu and the green-robed elder were both in a very sorry state. They looked at Zhuan and Duan Jiping in horror. They were no longer as aggressive as they were at the beginning. The two of you, we were rude before. This Mo apologizes to the two of you. To everyone's surprise, Mo Fengyu very straightforwardly bowed deeply to Zhuan and Duan Jiping, his expression sincere. Zhuan looked at Mo Fengyu. He thought that this old fellow was really flexible. At the beginning, he was the most aggressive in shouting to kill. Now that he had already lost, he was even so straightforward in apologizing. His scheming was really deep. Many members of the Wuxin clan also came forward. They followed Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua and knelt down to apologize to Duan Jiping and Zhuan. The green-robed elder smiled bitterly. He also knew that the winner was the king and the loser was the bandit. He sighed deeply and also bowed to apologize, hoping that they could forgive his rude behavior. Zhuan smiled and said, "The two of you, we can talk about this. After all, the two of you have given us 2 pieces of a tier 7-star weapon as an apology gift. If we still don't forgive you, we will be asking for a yard after taking an inch." Mo Fengyu and the green-robed elder's expressions immediately turned ugly. They had originally planned to give in and pay a price to get their pieces back from Duan Jiping. After all, a tier 7-star weapon fragment was actually a clan treasure to them and could not be easily lost. But Zhuan's words had stopped them from asking for the tier 7-star weapon fragment back. The two of you don't look too good. Are you not satisfied with my proposal?" Zhuan smiled faintly. "No, little brother Zhua is right. The tier 7-star weapon fragment is indeed our apology gift," Mo Fengyu hurriedly said. The green-robed elder also had no objections. They could only grit their teeth and swallow it. While Duan Jiping was talking to the green-robed elder and Mo Fengyu, the black-robed elder frowned slightly. He slowly retreated, planning to leave. Chapter 4164. Where do you think you're going? Duan Jiping looked indifferently at the black-robed elder. The black-robed elder hurriedly cupped his hands towards Duan Jiping and said in a low voice, "Sir, what else do you want? I'm from the Nuwa clan. You can't afford to offend me." Duan Jiping laughed loudly, but his gaze grew colder. "The Nuwa clan? I can't afford to offend you. Are you threatening me?" Duan Jiping said sinisterly. The black-robed elder frowned and said, "I'm not threatening you. I'm just reminding you. Although we had some misunderstandings before, now that the misunderstanding has been resolved, we don't owe each other anything. I'll take my leave first." The black-robed elder clearly didn't want to stay in front of Duan Jiping for long. After he finished speaking, he sped up his retreat. However, the black-robed elder's expression changed drastically. An enormous palm that radiated blazing golden light swept through the air and smashed heavily towards the black-robed elder. "You!" The black-robed elder was furious. He immediately summoned his universe world, and waves of terrifying tribulation energy surged out. At the same time, he summoned his life artifact, a halberd that flickered with purple lightning. Boom! The golden palm that contained numerous laws and grand daos smashed down like a mountain. Then, the black-robed elder was shocked to discover that his universe world had been directly torn apart, and then his life artifact had been shattered. Pucci! The black-robed elder spat out a mouthful of blood and knelt on the ground. The energy in his body surged as he raised his hands to the sky, barely resisting the palm. However, from his increasingly pale face, it could be seen that he probably wouldn't be able to hold on for long. Duan Jiping put his hands behind his back and coldly glanced at the black-robed elder who was struggling on the verge of death. He said indifferently, "Can you leave without my permission?" At this moment, Su Zhou and Ziyu flew over. They didn't even look at the black-robed elder. Instead, they looked at Duan Jiping and Zhuan. "Brother Duan, Brother Zhuo, what a good move. Even I was tricked by you. This time, I accept my defeat wholeheartedly." Suzhou shook his head and smiled bitterly. Brother Suzhou is too polite. We just stumbled upon it by accident. Brother Suzhou, on the other hand, came up with a lot of strategies that made us tired of dealing with them. We are the ones who are sincerely convinced by you. Suzhou and Ziyu's backgrounds weren't weak. The two of them didn't seem to have any ill intentions, so Zhuan naturally wouldn't give them any face. Of course, if the two of them really tried to rob him like Mo Fengyu and the others, he would not be polite either. He would retaliate in kind. Duan Jiping looked at Suzhou and Ziyu with a trace of vigilance. However, his attitude was much better than Mo Fengyu's. After all, Su and Ziyu, they've have you, and they're in their rees. They's. S mean, there have to have re haves have they haves. Are they? If they really wanted to join in the fight, even Duan Jiping would have a headache. Suzhou shook his head. He didn't care about Zhuan's compliments. Just as he was about to speak, an angry voice came from behind him. You're too presumptuous. How dare you suppress my Nuwa clan? Now let go of my people. Lai Rong had also come over. He was very dissatisfied with Duan Jiping suppressing the black-robed elder, so he berated him. Sorry, not only do we dare to suppress your Nuwa clan, but we also dare to kill you. Zhuan's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Duan Jiping grinned. He suddenly stomped his right foot. The giant Dharma idol lifted its foot and stomped on the black-robed elder. The black-robed old man, who had been having a hard time resisting the attack of the Fa Xiang's palm, was ruthlessly stomped by the sole of the foot. He completely lost the ability to resist, and with a miserable cry, he was ruthlessly pressed to the ground by the sole of the foot. Boom! Boom! The gigantic foot was lifted and brought down again. It actually stomped on the black-robed old man's body 3 times. At first, the black-robed elder still screamed, but there was no sound after that. When the Dharma idol lifted its foot, there was a huge hole in the ground. There was a pool of blood in the hole, a ghastly sight. When everyone saw the pool of blood, they were all terrified. How could they not know that the pool of blood belonged to the black-robed elder? There was no doubt that the latter had been stomped to the ground. Even his soul had not been able to escape. Lai Rong was also shocked by Duan Jiping's ruthless methods. His mouth was wide open as he stared at the expressionless Duan Jiping in disbelief. A chill rushed from the bottom of his feet to his head. These two guys were really too lawless. They clearly knew that they were from the Nuwa clan, but they still dared to kill them. Mo Fengyu and the green-robed elder trembled in fear at this scene. They knelt on the ground again, not even daring to raise their heads. They were only people from a lower realm, while the black-robed elder was from a higher realm. If the Nuwa clan could kill him without any hesitation, if Duan Jiping wanted to kill them, he would not show any mercy. Now, they were praying that Duan Jiping would not vent his anger on them and spare their lives. However, they did not know that Duan Jiping and the Nuwa clan already had a life-and-death grudge. Duan Jiping had wanted to kill Lai Rong and the black-robed elder for a long time, but he had never found the opportunity. Now that Lai Rong and the black-robed elder had delivered themselves to his doorstep, he naturally would not let them go. He's already dead. Now it's your turn. Duan Jiping slowly turned his head, his eyes filled with killing intent as he stared at Lai Rong. Lai Rong had a bad feeling. He wanted to run, but his legs were already trembling in fear. He actually froze on the spot for a moment. Duan Jiping naturally did not care about what Lai Rong was doing. He had already struck out with his palm. The giant Dharma idol's mountainous palm descended from the sky and completely covered Lai Rong's body. Lai Rong did not even have the chance to scream before his soul was scattered by the Dharma idol's palm. He died without a burial place. After killing Lai Rong and the black-robed elder, Duan Jiping withdrew his hand. He looked at the stiff Suzhou and Ziyu and said heartily, I've embarrassed myself. I've neglected the 2 Gongzi by killing 2 people who were in the way. Suzhou and Ziyu waved their hands, but their expressions became much more serious. May I know why the 2 of you have come to find us? Zhuan's gaze fell on Su Zhou as he suddenly asked. He was very clear that Su Zhou and Ziyu were true top geniuses on the outer realm, heavenly ranking, and had their own pride. He really did not believe that the two of them had come here specifically to befriend them. The two of them definitely had their own goals. Ziyu pursed her lips. She was a little unhappy with Zhuan's attitude, but she did not say anything. She just looked at Su Zhou. Chapter 4165. Why can't I understand what you're saying, Sir Su Zhou? I really didn't find the map fragment you mentioned in Lu Yan's tomb. Zhuan said calmly. Su Zhou smiled slightly, as if victory was within his grasp. Brother Zhua, let's not beat around the bush. I'll be honest with you. I also have a remnant map of the ruins with me. You have to know that after the map fragment of the ruins was torn apart, it was scattered everywhere. Sir Su Zhou, with just one map fragment, I might not be able to find the exact location of the ruins and the way to enter it. When he spoke up here, Su Zhou glanced at Zhuo, who had an indeterminate expression on his face, and he continued, Brother Zhua, you're a smart person, and you're able to discern that with my identity. There's utterly no need for me to risk my life and fight for a tomb with all of you. To put it bluntly, I'm not even interested in the treasures of a cosmic Loxana expert, let alone the tomb of a cosmic Loxana expert. Zhuo frowned slightly and said in a deep voice, So, young Master Su Zhou, you came all the way to the divine Magus realm and joined the battle for the tomb, all for the sake of that map fragment. Su Zhou nodded and said frankly, Brother Zhua, your strength and talent have caught my eye. This time, I was indeed one step behind, and I accept my loss wholeheartedly. You don't have to worry about me snatching the map fragment from you. No matter what, my background is not good. It was impossible for Fan to do such a thing. I just want to cooperate with Brother Zhua. Of course, before we cooperate, I have to remind Brother Zhua that the map fragment you have is very troublesome. Once outsiders find out about it, there will be a lot of trouble. Lu Yin is a good example. If Brother Zhua knows that he can't protect the map fragment, you can also make a deal with me. I will naturally give you a satisfactory price. Zhuo smiled faintly. I'm not interested in a deal, but I'm interested in the cooperation you mentioned. If young Master Su Zhou sincerely wishes to cooperate, then this Zhuo may not refuse. Zhuo knew that he could not hide the matter of the map fragment from Su Zhou, so he openly admitted it. Su Zhou was right. It was indeed very difficult for him to find the ruins since he only had a single map fragment. On the other hand, if Su Zhou had the other map fragment, then cooperating with him wasn't a bad idea. A wisp of a smile appeared on the corners of Su Zhou's mouth, and he laughed loudly as he patted Zhuo on the shoulder and said, Then let's have a pleasant cooperation. Ziyu was a little puzzled as she looked at Su Zhou and Zhuo, who had unknowingly put their arms around each other's shoulders. These two fellows' relationship had risen a little too quickly. However, his heart was filled with shock. How could he not have heard of the ruins that Su Zhou spoke of? That place was a treasure land that many cosmic manifestations coveted. Even those old fellows with the cultivation of Gu Starlight coveted it. However, the remains were simply too mysterious. For countless years, no one had been able to find the entrance to the remains. There was only a rumor that said, if you want to enter the remains, you must first obtain the map. He knew that Su Zhou possessed a fragment of the map of the ruins, but he did not know that there was actually another fragment of the map in the tomb of the unknown Magus God world. With Ziyu's status, she wouldn't care about what happened in a low-level realm like the Wu God realm. It was even more impossible for her to travel thousands of miles to participate in the so-called tomb battle. Wasn't the reason why she came here because Su Zhou was here? Su Zhou was full of sinister tricks. If he made a move, he must have an ulterior motive. That was why Ziyu condescended to come to the Wu God realm and enter the tomb with a group of rogue cultivators and low-level realm cultivators to search for treasures. As expected, Su Zhou did not disappoint him. He came to this tomb with a strong purpose, and there was actually another incomplete map of the ruins inside. The battle for the tomb had come to an end. The group of cultivators who had originally planned to take advantage of Duan Jipeng and Zhuowen all left dejectedly after knowing that the outcome had been decided. They knew that there was no chance left, so they weren't willing to go against Duan Jiping like moths to a flame and lose their lives in vain. Mo Faiyu, Mo Liuhua, and the green-robed elder were still kneeling in front of Duan Jiping. They lowered their heads, not daring to look at Duan Jiping. If Duan Jiping didn't let them get up, they really didn't dare to get up. After all, Duan Jiping was a madman who dared to casually kill Lai Rong of the Nuwa clan. They didn't dare to provoke him. Zhuowen and Suzhou chatted happily for a while. Then Zhuowen looked at Mo Faiyu and the others who were still kneeling on the ground. "Brother Duan, you can let them get up now," Zhuowen said. Duan Jiping nodded and dispersed his Dharma projection to let Mo Faiyu and the others get up. Mo Faiyu and the others hurriedly expressed their gratitude, their eyes filled with gratitude. This was especially true for Lu Yingying. She looked at Zhuowen with a complicated expression. She never thought that the Battle of the Tombs would end in such a way. It was truly beyond her expectations. "Brother Zhua, how do you want to deal with these people?" To Mo Faiyu and the others' shock, Duan Jiping actually turned to Zhuowen rather politely and asked Zhuowen for his opinion on how to deal with them. Instantly, Mo Faiyu, the green-robed elder, Lu Yingying, and the others all looked at Zhuowen anxiously, their eyes filled with unease. If Zhuowen said a sentence to directly kill them, perhaps Duan Jiping would really go on a killing spree. "All you need to do is swear an oath to the heavenly Tao that you will never go against Brother Duan and me, and your lives won't be in danger," Zhuowen said with a smile. Mo Faiyu and the others were startled, then hurriedly swore an oath to the heavenly Tao and bowed to Zhuowen. "That's right. My master, Shanling Yun, is still in Sorcerer God City. When I return to Sorcerer God City, I will go to Sorcerer God City to see her. I don't think you will stop me this time," Zhuowen said indifferently. Mo Faiyu and the others wiped the sweat from their foreheads and glared fiercely at Lu Yingying. They hurriedly said, "How would we dare to stop young Master Zhua? If anyone dares to stop me, I will be the first to kill them." Lu Yingying trembled in fear. She naturally heard the warning in Mo Faiyu's words, and a trace of regret and bitterness appeared in her heart for no reason. Zhuowen just smiled and didn't say anything. Next, Zhuowen, Duan Jiping, Suzhou, and the others returned to Sorcerer God City. Mo Faiyu and the others followed behind them respectfully, not daring to act rashly. After returning to Sorcerer God City, Mo Faiyu hurriedly invited them into Sorcerer God City. However, Zhuowen, Suzhou, and the others did not plan to enter Sorcerer God City. This made Mo Faiyu breathe a sigh of relief. Speaking of which, although he did not dare to offend Duan Jiping, he did not want them to enter Sorcerer God City so openly. Chapter 4166. On the balcony of a luxurious inn, Zhuowen silently watched the departing figures of Mo Fengyu, the green-robed elder, and the rest. Mo Fengyu and the rest are in a dilemma. They don't dare to offend you, much less the Nuwa clan. Now, they're in a difficult situation. Suzhou came to Zhuowen's side and watched Mo Fengyu's departing group. He smiled faintly. That's why I didn't make things difficult for them. At the same time, I reminded them of my relationship with Shanling Yun. I'm sure they won't dare to disrespect my master in the Holy Witch City. Zhuowen said indifferently. Suzhou smiled and said playfully, "Brother Zhua, I think the Nuwa clan will soon receive news that you've killed Lai Rong. How do you plan to deal with the Nuwa clan's revenge?" Zhuowen looked at Suzhou with a faint smile. "Brother Suzhou, you and I are now partners. We should treat each other with sincerity, right? Can't you help me cover up the matter with the Nuwa clan?" Zhuowen knew that Suzhou had an extraordinary background. Perhaps Suzhou could help him cover up the fact that they were the murderers of Lai Rong. That would save him a lot of trouble. Suzhou shook his head. "Brother Zhua, we haven't even started working together, and you're already thinking of using me. Aren't you being a little too greedy? I can help you cover up the fact that you killed Lai Rong, but why should I help you? You do have the map fragment that I need, but you have to know your limits. I'm working with you because you have a map fragment, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't mean anything. But that doesn't mean that I need to help you with everything. Also, Brother Zio and I will be leaving the witchcraft realm tomorrow and returning to our realm. I hope that Brother Joie can protect the map fragment in your hands during this period of time. If it falls into someone else's hands, then we won't have it. There's a need for cooperation. With that, Suzhou returned to the inn. Zhuan frowned and said with a self-deprecating smile, "It seems that I thought myself clever." Suzhou was much smarter than he had imagined. It was impossible for him to use Suzhou for a mere map fragment. The next day, Suzhou and Ziyu bid farewell to Zhuan and left the witch god realm. Inside the inn, Zhuan and Duan Jiping sat opposite each other. "Brother Joie, I need to go into seclusion for a while to condense my cosmic form. I need to find a secluded place. It's best that we don't stay in the divine witch realm," Duan Jiping said to Zhuan in a serious tone. Zhuan nodded and hesitated for a moment before he said, "Brother Duan, wait for me for a day. Some of my friends are still in Shaman City, and I want to bring them out as well. After you make the breakthrough, I'm going to the New realm to find someone." Duan Jiping nodded. He already knew that Zhuan's purpose was to go to the 7 Emotions and 6 Desires mountain in the New realm to find Moyan Wushan. "After I make the breakthrough, I'll go with you. I won't be at ease if you go to the New realm alone." Duan Jiping smiled. Zhuan was startled. Then his gaze softened a lot. He nodded and said, "Then I'll have to trouble you, Brother Duan." Duan Jiping laughed and said, "With our relationship, there's no need to be so polite." Inside Shaman City, Mo Fengyu stood in the depths of a magnificent palace, holding a communication jade talisman in his hand. "Ancestor, why have you called us here?" Mo Liuhua and Lu Yingying walked in from outside the palace. Mo Fengyu had urgently summoned them, which made them very puzzled. Zhuan plans to take Shan Lingyun and the other Hushu tribesmen away, Mo Fengyu said in a low voice. Mo Liuhua didn't care and said, "These Hushu tribesmen are doing nothing in our Shaman City and wasting our resources. If Zhuan wants to take them away, it'll save us a lot of trouble." Lu Yingying frowned. She wanted to ask them to stay, but when she thought of her own status, she could only purse her lips and say nothing. "But the Nuwa clan has also sent me a message, asking us to try our best to stall Zhuan and the others. As long as we do well, the Nuwa clan will reward us handsomely." Mo Fengyu's eyes flickered. "This?" Mo Liuhua hesitated. "That might not be appropriate. Ancestor, the man with the surname Duan beside Zhuan has unfathomable strength. If we anger him, I'm afraid it won't be good," Lu Yingying said hesitantly. Mo Fengyu was silent for a moment, and a trace of hesitation flashed in his eyes. He said in a low voice, "But we can't afford to offend the Nuwa clan. Ancestor, how long will it take for the Nuwa clan to come here?" Mo Liuhua suddenly asked. "About 10 days. Mo Fengyu smiled bitterly. 10 days is too long. We can't delay Zhuan for that long. In my opinion, the best choice is to stay out of it," Mo Liuhua said in a low voice. Mo Fengyu was silent for a moment and then sighed. "You're right. We can't afford to offend either Zhuan or the Nuwa clan. The best way is to stay out of it. Yingying, you'll be in charge of the Hushu clan. Try to get Zhuan to leave the divine witch realm as soon as possible. Try not to spread the flames of war to the divine witch realm." After saying that, Mo Fengyu waved his sleeves, sighed, and entered the deepest part of the palace. Mo Liuhua and Lu Yingying looked at each other and smiled bitterly. It seemed that this was the only choice they had now. Zhuan and Duan Jiping left Divine Witch City and came to the forest in front of the endless mountains behind Divine Witch City. Zhuan had contacted Mo Fengyu long ago, and Mo Fengyu guided them to this forest. They would bring Shan Lingyun and the other Hushu clan members to meet up with him here. Zhuan and Duan Jiping didn't have to wait for long before they discovered that a huge circle of light had appeared in the sky above the forest. Many figures appeared in the circle of light. Among the many figures, The leader was a young woman with a graceful figure. Beside this young woman was a little lowly with an exquisite face that looked like it was carved from jade. Zhuan first looked at the young lady with a graceful figure. He naturally recognized that this young lady was Shanling Yun's aunt, Lu Yingying. However, Zhuan didn't give Lu Yingying any face. His gaze was indifferent. However, when his gaze landed on the little lowly beside Lu Yingying, the corners of his mouth curled into a rather happy smile. "Master," Zhuan looked at the little girl and called out with a smile. The moment the little girl saw Zhuan, she broke free from Lu Yingying and rushed into Zhuan's arms. Lu Yingying looked at the little girl who was interacting with Zhuan, and the complicated look in her eyes became even more intense. A bitter smile appeared on her face. Chapter 4167. Senior Zhua. While Zhuan and Shanling Yun were getting along well, Sa, Mei, and Tuo Shang brought a group of Hushu tribesmen over. Actually, they were quite confused because Lu Yingying suddenly came to inform them that Zhuan was going to bring them away from the witchcraft clan. Speaking of which, they had just arrived at the witchcraft clan and Zhuan suddenly wanted to bring them away. Naturally, they were full of doubts. However, they instinctively trusted Zhuan and did not ask any questions. They simply followed Lu Yingying out. Zhuan smiled warmly at Sa Mei and Tuo Shang and said, "You won't blame me for suddenly saying that I want to bring you away, right?" Sa Mei and Tuo Shang quickly shook their heads. How could they blame Zhuan? In their eyes, Zhuan was their savior. They would not hesitate to do anything Zhuan wanted them to do. Shanling Yun pursed her lips and asked, "Disciple, what are you up to now?" Zhuan's gaze turned serious. He said in a low voice, "I offended the Nuwa clan. They will come to the witchcraft domain very soon. In order not to implicate you, I plan to bring you away from here first. Also, this person beside me is called Duan Jipeng. He is my best friend. He will be able to condense the cosmic image very soon. When he comes out of seclusion, I will help you take back the Hushu domain and take revenge for the annihilation of your clan." Shanling Yun was stunned. Then, she looked at Duan Jipeng, who was beside Zhuan, in shock. She did not expect that Zhuan would actually make such a powerful friend in just a short period of time. Duan Jipeng smiled warmly at Shanling Yun. He did not put on the airs of an expert. When the Hushu tribesmen behind heard about Duan Jipeng's cultivation, they were all excited. He was an expert with the cosmic image. This was an expert that could only be found in mid-tier domains and above. Such an expert could easily destroy an expert with a wave of his hand. If Duan Jipeng could successfully condense the cosmic image, not only would he be able to take back the Hushu domain, but he would also be able to take over the Goldwater domain, Divine Eye domain, and Purple Illusion domain. "Senior Lu, I'll have to trouble you this time. I'll take the Hushu tribesmen with me." Zhuan waved his sleeve and summoned a huge divine ship. His gaze fell on Lu Yingying, who was hovering alone in midair not far away. Lu Yingying smiled bitterly and said, "Young Master Zhua, I wish you a pleasant journey. Also, I hope you can forgive me for my lack of hospitality during this period of time." Zhuan shook his head and glanced at Shanling Yun, who had suddenly become silent. He could clearly feel that the little lowly beside him was estranged from Lu Yingying. Even though she was about to leave now, she had no intention of saying goodbye to her. Once all the Hushu people had boarded, Zhuan steered the divine ship into the distance. In the blink of an eye, it had turned into a faint speck of light. Lu Yingying looked at the light spot that had disappeared into the distance, and a bitter smile appeared on her face. This was especially so when Shanling Yun did not bid farewell to her in the end. This caused her to feel rather disappointed. "Brother Zhua, we don't have to leave the witch realm. We just need to settle down in the most remote place in the witch realm and cultivate in seclusion." Duan Jipeng suddenly suggested not long after the divine ship had left. Zhuan was stunned and revealed a trace of hesitation. "Brother Duan, after the Nuwa clan people arrive at the witch realm, they will definitely send people from the witch realm to search the entire realm. If we continue to stay in the witch realm, we might, Duan Jiping said confidently. Brother Zhua, have you forgotten about my astral weapon, the dark chakra? Back then, I could use the dark chakra to conceal Venerable Hong Rui's death aura and prevent the Nuwa clan from tracking us for 10,000 years. As long as we hide, no one will be able to find us, even in the witch realm. Moreover, Mo Fengyu is a wily old fox. He's a smooth talker. After we leave, he'll definitely leak the news to the Nuwa clan as soon as possible. At that time, if we really leave the domain of the gods of shamans, it's very likely that we'll encounter the Nuwa clan. That's not something I want to encounter. Zhuowen was shocked to hear this. Duan Jiping's analysis was reasonable. Mo Fengyu was indeed unreliable, and Duan Jiping's dark chakra was truly miraculous. Zhuowen thought for a moment, then agreed to Duan Jiping's suggestion. Although the Hushu clan people had become friends with Zhuowen on the divine ship, they all had an indescribable respect for Duan Jiping and didn't dare to interact with him. Duan Jiping didn't care about this. He wasn't familiar with the Hushu clan in the first place. The reason he had agreed to help Zhuowen go to the Hushu realm after he emerged from seclusion was mainly because of Zhuowen. The divine ship headed south as fast as lightning. After about a month, they arrived in an extremely remote area in the southern part of the witch realm. They found a mountain range that was shrouded in clouds all year round. Duan Jiping built a cave residence in the depths of the mountain range and started to cultivate in seclusion. He planned to condense his cosmic form. Of course, before he started, Duan Jiping also used his dark chakra to cover up the aura in the area. As for Zhuowen, he moved Flowing Flame's white jade palace out of the large world and placed it near Duan Jiping's abode. When the Hushu clan people were brought into the white jade palace by Zhuowen, they were completely shocked. This was because the chaotic energy in the white jade palace was just too dense. When they saw the many precious cultivation resources inside, they were completely dumbfounded. Disciple, where did you get so many resources? Shan Lingyun quietly pulled Zhuowen aside and asked nervously. Shan Lingyun couldn't help but be shocked. The resources in the White Jade Palace probably far exceeded the total amount of resources that Huxley had when he was at his peak. She knew that Zhuowen was rich, but she didn't expect him to be this rich. This was really beyond her expectations. Zhuowen didn't hide anything from Shan Lingyun. He told her about the battle at Lu Yinji's grave and dispelled the doubts in Shan Lingyun's heart. Senior Brother Zhua, there are so many resources. Are you really willing to let us cultivate? Same walked to Zhuowen's side uneasily and asked softly. Zhuowen looked over and saw many Hushu clan people standing behind Same. They were all looking at Zhuowen uneasily. Obviously, they were still a little uneasy about directly cultivating with these resources. Don't worry. Since I let you in, I naturally intend to let you cultivate. Don't you want to contribute to taking back the Hushu realm? If you don't have enough power, how can you take back your home? Zhuowen smiled warmly. Speaking of which, the cultivation resources in the White Jade Palace were all left over from Zhuowen's cultivation. Most of the resources had already been used by him. Chapter 4168. After getting Zhuowen's promise, Shan Lingyun and the rest happily found a suitable spot in the White Jade Palace and started to cultivate. It seems that if I want to break through again, I have to find a relic and obtain a greater opportunity or go to the extraterritorial battlefield. Zhuowen mumbled to himself as he watched Shan Lingyun and the rest leave. While Zhuowen and the rest were cultivating in seclusion, a group of uninvited guests came to the Witch God world. On this day, countless cultivators in the Witch God city raised their heads and looked at the northern sky. Then, they were shocked to find that at the end of the sky, streaks of flowing light were shooting towards them at the speed of an arrow. Following that, an extremely terrifying aura and oppressive aura spread out in all directions. In the Witch God city, all the cultivators' pupils shrank. Some of the weaker cultivators were even severely injured and spat out a mouthful of blood. Their faces turned extremely pale. Swoosh! Swoosh! The streaks of flowing light were extremely fast and arrived in the sky above the witch god city in the blink of an eye. Everyone finally saw the true appearance of the streaks of flowing light. They were huge beasts with vast auras. On the back of each of the beasts stood hundreds of cultivators with powerful auras. There were dozens of such beasts hanging in the sky above the witch god city, causing many cultivators to feel a chill down their spines. The leading beast was the largest and had the most powerful aura. On the back of this beast, a middle-aged man with a sharp expression and wearing a black feather robe looked down at the entire witch god city indifferently. Then, countless cultivators in the witch god city saw the man in the feather robe slowly raise his right hand and then put it down gently. The chaotic energy in the surrounding tens of millions of miles seemed to have been summoned and gathered in the sky, forming a terrifying giant palm that covered the sky. They are all from the Niwa clan? What is he trying to do? In the witch god city, countless cultivators looked at the scene in the sky in a daze. Naturally, they saw the figures standing on the beasts clearly. They were all in the form of a snake with a human head. In the entire 100 outer realms, only the clansmen of a Niwa clan possessed such a form. When they felt the terrifying pressure from the giant palm formed by the man in the feather robe, they all thought of something. Run! Run! They are trying to destroy the witch god city. The cultivators who reacted first screamed and started to run frantically out of the witch god city. Run? You are too naive. Today, the witch god city must be destroyed. All of you must die. The man in the feather robe softly muttered before his right palm smashed down. That giant palm rapidly fell. Boom! Boom! When a huge palm finally landed on Sorcerer God City, an earth-shattering explosion resounded in the air. After the explosion, an extremely dazzling light soared into the sky. It overflowed in all directions and covered the entire space. The terrifying explosion drowned out the countless screams coming from the Witch God City. When the light faded, the bustling Sorcerer God City had been reduced to ruins. It should have been a huge city, but now, only a huge crater was left. Within the Sorcerer God City, close to 1 million cultivators were torn apart by the terrifying energy, as if they were vaporized. The man in the feather robe had destroyed a huge city like Witch God City with just a wave of his hand. His strength was unprecedented. Mo Fengyu, you're really hard-hearted. You watched the Witch God City being destroyed from the shadows and didn't do anything? The man from a Yi family placed his hands behind his back and looked toward the east with a faint smile on his face. As soon as he finished speaking, the space in the east suddenly distorted. Mo Fengyu walked out of the distorted space with several people. Mo Fengyu's head was lowered, and his expression was extremely respectful. If one looked closely, they would see that Mo Fengyu's eyes were filled with terror and fear. The people behind Mo Fengyu were Mo Liuhua, Lu Yingying, and the other high-level experts of the Witch God clan. Witch God clan domain guardian Mo Fengyu greets Lord Shenyu. Mo Fengyu hurriedly walked to the man in the feather robe with Mo Liuhua and the others. He bowed deeply, his eyes filled with shock. The man in the feather robe was called Shenyu. He was one of the 7 Dharma plane experts of the Niwa clan. He had a high status and was extremely powerful. Mo Fengyu knew that the Niwa clan would send someone, but he didn't expect them to send someone as important as Shenyu. If anyone else dared to destroy Witch God City as soon as they arrived, Mo Fengyu would have charged forward and fought with his life. However, if the person who destroyed Witch God City was Shenyu, Mo Fengyu would only feel a deep sense of fear. He wouldn't even dare to fart, because the man in the feather robe was not only powerful enough to destroy Witch God City, but also the Witch God Sacred City. It was more than enough to destroy the entire Witch God clan. God Bless looked mockingly at Mo Fengyu, who was standing before him with his head lowered and his body shivering. Mo Fengyu, do you know why I destroyed Witch God City as soon as I arrived? Shenyu smiled warmly. However, in Shenyu's eyes, that warm smile was even more terrifying than a demon. He quickly lowered his head. After thinking for a while, he asked carefully, "Did I do something wrong?" Shenyu said calmly, "Then do you know what you did wrong?" Mo Fengyu thought of something. His body trembled, but he couldn't say a word. Xinyu ignored Mo Fengyu. Instead, he walked forward slowly and said coldly, "The Witch God clan is so calculative. You want to stay out of Lai Rong's matter and protect yourselves, right? It's a pity that you don't know how stupid it is to do this. Lai Rong died in the Witch God boundary, and he died right in front of you. Not only did you let the murderer go, but you also gave away the murderer's weakness. Do you really think the Niwa clan's intelligence network is useless?" Mo Fengyu's pupil shrank. He suddenly knelt on the ground and kept kowtowing. "Master Xinyu, I had no choice. The man with the surname Duan next to Zhuowen can use cosmic dharma to a certain extent, and we also swore a heavenly oath. We can't be enemies with them, so..." Before Mo Fengyu could finish, a terrifying force slammed into his chest. "Pucci!" Mo Fengyu grunted and flew backward. His face was as pale as a sheet. Chapter 4169. God Bless rubbed his slender, fair fingers as he looked at Mo Fengyu, who was kneeling before him and trembling in fear. His lips curled into a cold smirk. "Mo Fengyu, I'll give you a chance to make up for your mistake. Send out all the manpower and resources the Sorcerer God clan can muster to search the entire Sorcerer God world. If you can't do that, what right does the Sorcerer God clan have to rule the Sorcerer God world?" God Bless spoke slowly. His words were cold and merciless, sending chills down one's spine. Mo Fengyu hesitated for a moment and said, "Zhuowen and the man with the surname Duan must have left the Sorcerer God world as soon as possible. Are we still going to search the Sorcerer God world?" God Bless smirked. "Idiot. The Niwa clan has already set up a trap outside the Sorcerer God world. We'll naturally notice if they escape. However, there's no movement at the border of the Sorcerer God world. Clearly, the two of them haven't left the Sorcerer God world. They're hiding somewhere in the Sorcerer God world." Mo Fengyu immediately kowtowed and apologized. He then said carefully, "Don't worry, Lord God Bless. I'll do it for you even if it costs me my life." The cultivators in the Sorcerer God world were in an uproar, especially when they heard that the Niwa clan's powerhouses had arrived and destroyed the Sorcerer God city in one move. The news spread like wildfire in the Sorcerer God world. Meanwhile, the Sorcerer God clan began to mobilize large amounts of manpower, resources, and intelligence to search for Zhuowen and Duan Jipeng's whereabouts. All of a sudden, everyone in the Sorcerer God world was in danger. They were jittery and extremely restless. Meanwhile, Zhuowen and the others who were in the southern part of the Sorcerer God world, deep in the remote mountain range shrouded in clouds and mist, had no idea what was going on. Time flew by like a white steed flitting by a crack. 1 month, 2 months, half a year passed in the blink of an eye. In the past half a year, the Hushu people spent most of their time cultivating in the White Jade Palace. Their progress was extremely fast. After all, the resources in the White Jade Palace were too abundant. The surviving Hushu people were basically the elites of the younger generation. They were all extremely talented. Among them, the ones who improved the fastest were Sam Mei and Ta Sheng. The two of them were originally at the early stages of the Celestial Devil Transformation stage, but with the help of the White Jade Palace's vast resources, they managed to reach the pinnacle of the Celestial Devil Transformation stage in just half a year. As long as they had an epiphany, they would be able to take a step further and achieve the Ancient Star Transformation. During this half a year of time, Zhuowen seemed to be rather leisurely. He would either refine pills or set up formations, and when he had free time, he would seek guidance from Shan Lingyun in the art of spirit speech, and he was extremely carefree. This was not Zhuowen's fault. After all, his cultivation had reached a bottleneck. If he wanted to break through this bottleneck, he would need far more resources than the White Jade Palace. Therefore, before he gathered enough resources, Zhuowen didn't plan on cultivating because it would only be a waste of time. He might as well use this time to consolidate his Pill Dao, Array Dao, and Spirit Speech technique, especially his Array Dao. Zhuowen had already reached the pinnacle of the first firmament of the eternal level. If he could break through again, his strength would be even more terrifying. At the same time, Zhuowen gave the 2 rank 7 astral weapon fragments that he had obtained from Mo Faiyu and the green-robed elder to Xiao He. He still remembered Xiao He's stunned expression. He had almost knelt in front of him with tears and snot. Obviously, the 2 rank 7 astral weapon fragments were of great help to Xiao He. Perhaps they could help him break through again. It was no wonder that Xiao He was so excited. After obtaining the rank 7 astral weapon fragments, Xiao He immediately went into seclusion. He didn't even care about Shirpatian. This made the little kid feel extremely wronged. He sat by the lake every day with tears in his eyes and sighed. Zhuowen sat beside the little kid. He patted the latter's little shoulder, and it comforted him with a smile. The little kid, who was originally sad, once again revealed an innocent smile. Zhuowen silently looked at Shirpatian. Feeling the latter's powerful aura, he couldn't help but sigh inwardly. What a peerless monster. The first time he saw Shirpatian, he was only at the Tao confirming realm. Now that he saw him again, this kid had already passed the heaven's decay and reached the heaven-breaking realm. His current realm was the heaven-breaking first change, the divine fetus transformation. Moreover, Shirpatian had also grown a lot. Half a year ago, he was just a baby. Now, he was a 1-meter-tall toddler. His growth was extremely fast. Speaking of which, Zhuowen was quite envious of Shirpatian. This little guy didn't have any cultivation bottlenecks. As long as he grew, the little guy's cultivation would naturally rise. Suddenly, Zhuowen seemed to sense something and looked up at the sky above the great world. Shirpatian also raised his head. That pair of innocent eyes suddenly became sharp. Master, what a powerful aura. It seems like someone broke through and isn't far from the great world. Shirpotian's young and inexperienced brows furrowed slightly, and he said in puzzlement, "It's my friend, Little Stone. I'm leaving first. I'll come to see you next time." Zhuowen rubbed Shirpotian's little head. The latter pursed his lips, appearing somewhat unhappy. He did not say any words to urge him to stay, and just obediently gave an "oh." After Zhuowen left the great world, he appeared in the depths of the endless mountain range. In that valley in the depths, there existed a deep and mysterious cave. This cave was the abode that Duan Jiping specially built. At this moment, in the depths of this inconspicuous cave, an extremely terrifying aura suddenly surged out. The aura was like an abyss, pouring out without the slightest scruple. It was mighty and unstoppable. Although Zhuowen did not get close to the valley, he was also shocked by the terrifying aura and could not help but take a few steps back. Shanlingyun, Sa Mei, Tua Sheng, and the rest also left the White Jade Palace and gathered behind Zhuowen. This is... Sa Mei looked rather shocked. Brother Duan should be about to break through. He may have successfully condensed the universe Dharma form. Zhuowen was in high spirits. He looked into the valley, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Sa Mei, Tua Sheng, and the rest were wild with joy. The brother Duan that Zhuowen mentioned was naturally the extremely powerful man with the surname Duan. Once Duan Jiping successfully broke through, they would be able to use his power to return to the Huexu region and wipe out the Goldwater clan, Purple Fantasy clan, and Godai clan. They would then be able to take revenge for the annihilation of the Huexu clan. Disciple, you can activate the array of this mountain range. Now, the entire Wushun world is not peaceful. The people of the Wushun clan are almost all over the world looking for us. It's best not to make too much noise here, Shanlingyun said solemnly. Chapter 4170. With Zhuowen's current formation's Tao standards, the power of the grand array that he set up was absolutely unique. Zhuowen nodded, but he still felt a little unconfident. After all, the cosmic aspect tribulation was definitely extraordinary. He wasn't sure if the array he had painstakingly set up over the past few months could completely conceal the aura of the tribulation in this mountain range. Boom! 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 Just as Zhuan was deep in thought, a terrifying rumble came from the valley. Then, Zhuan was shocked to discover that the space above the valley had collapsed. Bottomless cracks and black holes had appeared in the sky. Every crack and black hole was filled with dazzling tribulation energy. This kind of tribulation energy would be terrifying even if an expert of the Great Qian Kuan tribulation encountered it. There were many of these cracks and black holes, and they were densely packed. Every crack and black hole contained terrifying tribulation energy. Samei, Ta Sheng, and the other Hushu clan members gathered behind Zhuan were all pale with fright when they saw the terrifying scene in the valley. Some of them even knelt on the ground, trembling. The cosmic aspect tribulation was too terrifying. It hadn't even fully displayed its power, but the aura it emitted already had such terrifying power. Zhuan's gaze also became serious. Clearly, the power of the cosmic aspect tribulation was somewhat beyond his expectations. Thinking of this, Zhuan waved his sleeve, and a pitch-black array disc appeared in his palm. Then, he took out the array disc. Immediately, rune-like patterns of light flowed on the surface of the array disc. When the patterns of light appeared, the clouds that lingered in the endless mountain range all year round were like a stone that stirred up 1,000 ripples. They surged violently like rolling waves. The clouds condensed into giant dragons that danced freely in the sea of clouds. Upon closer inspection, these cloud dragons lingered around the mountain range and were scattered in 8 directions, forming the position of the 8 trigrams. The moment the array was activated, a figure floated out of the valley deep in the mountain range and slowly walked out. He came to the center of the valley and slowly raised his head. Looking at the dense cracks and black holes in the sky, his expression became extremely grim. Zhuan and the others silently looked at this figure, but in their hearts, they were rather nervous. I wonder if Senior Duan will be able to overcome the tribulation of the cosmic form? Shan Lingyun asked worriedly as she held onto Zhuan's sleeve. Brother Duan will definitely survive this tribulation, Zhuan said confidently. He knew Duan Jiping quite well. He knew that Duan Jiping's methods and trump cards were extraordinary. The cosmic dharma shouldn't be a problem for him. Boom! Boom! Suddenly, the surrounding space was filled with cracks and black holes. Endless calamities rained down. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Flames surged to the sky. Water flooded the Golden Mountain. Streaks of dazzling tribulation energy descended at an unimaginable speed and blasted Duan Jiping's body without mercy. Duan Jiping let out a long laugh. He clenched his fists, and the aura in his body suddenly erupted. The billowing aura shot up to the 9 levels of heaven. Then, the void behind him shattered into countless pieces. An extremely huge shadow suddenly stepped out from the depths of the void. This 10,000 zhang tall, illusory figure was filled with a mysterious purple light. It was clad in a mighty and extraordinary armor. It walked over majestically, looking heroic and heroic. The huge shadow came in front of Duan Jiping. With its back facing the endless calamities, it knelt down in front of Duan Jiping and took the initiative to resist the terrifying calamities with its huge body. Boom! 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 The calamities bombarded and exploded with endless sounds of metal clashing. However, they couldn't break the purple shadow's armor at all. They couldn't even leave a scratch on its body. Duan Jiping looked directly at the purple shadow in front of him and smiled. Roar! The purple shadow seemed to be telepathically connected with Duan Jiping. It roared and suddenly straightened its back. Then, it took a step and turned around. It drew out the divine saber at its waist and slashed out. A terrifying saber essence spread across the entire mountain. The first wave of calamities was slashed into nothingness by the saber. So terrifying. Don't tell me this is. Shan Lingyun and the rest were stunned. The calamity energy of the universe Dharma power was extremely terrifying. They could see that. Yet now, this violet shadow had merely executed a single strike, yet it had obliterated the tribulation energy that was dense like rain. So, how could they not be astounded? This is Brother Duan's universe Dharma power. No wonder Brother Duan always said that if he didn't form the universe Dharma power, he would be like an ant in front of a universe Dharma power expert. Zhuowen sighed softly. There was no doubt that the universe Dharma power that Duan Jiping had formed was much more powerful than the one that Liu Yinhua had. Duan Jiping had also been completely reborn. His strength had reached an extremely terrifying level. Boom, boom, boom. After the purple shadow destroyed the first wave of calamities, an even more powerful calamity energy surged out from the depths of the black hole. It was turbulent and terrifying, but the purple shadow was even more terrifying. All the calamities that fell were turned into nothingness by his saber. The calamities became stronger and more numerous, and the purple shadow didn't seem to be tired. It was in a deadlock with the calamities and blocked wave after wave of terrifying calamities. The purple shadow and the calamities fought from the sky to the ground, and then from the ground to the sky. The mountains collapsed, the lakes were destroyed, and the sea of clouds was stirred up. The array that Zhuowen had set up around the mountain was finally affected. It was on the verge of collapse and seemed to be very strenuous. Finally, the calamities reached the final juncture. The densely packed black hole suddenly merged together and formed a huge black hole in the sky. Then, in the depths of the black hole, a palm that was shining with colorful lights fell. This palm was too huge. It was even bigger than the purple shadow. When it came down, the entire mountain area was covered by its shadow. The purple shadow was not afraid. He stomped his feet on the ground, and the earth shook violently. The purple shadow was like a god, rushing into the sky at a terrifying speed. When the purple shadow was in front of the palm, he suddenly pulled out his divine saber and slashed out fiercely. This saber was the purple shadow's strongest saber. The saber intent swept out and was extremely mysterious. The divine saber and the palm collided, causing a deafening explosion. Then, a terrifying aftershock quickly swept out. Zhuowen's expression changed slightly. He had to retreat with everyone. He looked at the purple shadow and the 7-colored palm that were in a deadlock. Crack! Crack! Suddenly, an ear-piercing shattering sound was heard. Then, Zhuowen was shocked to find that the array that he had painstakingly set up had collapsed, and the incomparably valiant purple shadow fell from the sky, kicking up endless dust. The 7-colored palm trembled from the impact, but its surface was not damaged at all. Chapter 4171. In the depths of the sorcerer god's sacred city, a man in a feathery robe, whose aura was as vast as the ocean, sat casually on the throne. His expression was lazy, and his posture was casual. Mo Fayu and Mo knelt below the throne, trembling in fear. It's been so long. You still haven't found Zhuowen's whereabouts? The man in a feathery robe asked nonchalantly as he looked at Mo Fayu and Mo Liuhua with a cold smile. Mo Fayu shuddered and hurriedly said, Master Xinyu, we're already trying our best to find Zhuowen's whereabouts. Please give us a little more time. We'll definitely find them. As soon as Mo Fayu finished speaking, a glowing seal shot across the sky and landed on Mo Fayu's chest. Mo Fayu grunted and spat out a mouthful of blood. He was sent flying and landed heavily beside the door of the hall behind him. He looked dispirited. Haven't I given you enough time? Xinyu stood up slowly. The laziness on his face had been replaced by sharpness and coldness. A violent, murderous intent shot out from the depths of his eyes and shot toward Mo Fayu. Mo Fayu got up again and knelt on the ground. He kept kowtowing to Xinyu and begging for mercy. Mo Liuhua looked at the scene sadly. Mo Fayu was the ancestor of the sorcerer god tribe after all. He was the protector of the sorcerer god boundary, and he was a member of the sorcerer god tribe. However, they were like ants before the man in a feathery robe. They had no status at all. Mo Fayu was even begging Xinyu for mercy, which made Mo Liuhua very upset. The man in a feathery robe was about to attack, but he suddenly lifted his head and looked sharply to the south. Mo Fayu and Mo Liuhua both had their heads lowered. Naturally, they did not see the strange expression on the man's face. They only knelt there anxiously and did not dare to speak. Do you feel it? That's the aura of the cosmic disaster. The man in a feathery robe suddenly said excitedly. Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua finally stopped kowtowing. They slowly raised their heads and glanced at the man in a feathery robe in front of the throne with a rare look of excitement. Let's go. Bring the elites of your sorcerer clan and follow me to the south. The man in the feather robe said coldly. Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua hurriedly nodded and began to prepare the team. Once everything was ready, the feather-robed man led Mo Fengyu and the others out of the witch god sacred city, heading towards the southern part of the witch god domain. Puchi. Inside the valley, Duan Jiping involuntarily spat out a mouthful of blood. His expression became very dispirited. Not far from him, there was a huge crater. In the middle of the crater, the huge purple shadow was almost torn apart. It was dim and lifeless, and its aura was weak. Obviously, the power of the seven-colored palm that appeared at the end of the cosmic Dharma characteristic tribulation was too terrifying. With one blow, Duan Jiping's cosmic Dharma characteristic was almost destroyed. Fortunately, the seven-colored palm had a certain limit. It could only attack once. Otherwise, not only would Duan Jiping's cosmic Dharma characteristic be destroyed, but Duan Jiping's life would also be in danger. Zhuowen immediately rushed into the valley and came to Duan Jiping's side. Brother Duan, are you all right? Zhuowen asked worriedly as he supported Duan Jiping, who was on the verge of collapsing. Duan Jiping laughed and shook his head. Then, Zhuowen discovered that the originally dispirited Duan Jiping's aura was becoming stronger and stronger. It was like a surging river. I finally passed the cosmic Dharma characteristic tribulation. From now on, I'm a true cosmic Dharma characteristic expert. Duan Jiping couldn't hide his excitement. Zhuowen was also happy for Duan Jiping. He also discovered that Duan Jiping's aura was much stronger than that of an ordinary early cosmic Dharma characteristic expert. It seemed that Duan Jiping had gained a lot from absorbing the essence of flowing flames. I'm afraid we can't stay here any longer. My heavenly tribulation caused too much of a commotion. It might attract the attention of the Nuwa clan experts in the witch god boundary, Duan Jiping said solemnly. Zhuo nodded. The formation he'd set up had completely collapsed under the attack of the seven-colored palm. The commotion caused by Duan Jiping's heavenly tribulation naturally couldn't be concealed. It definitely couldn't be hidden from the Nuwa clan experts. Soon, Zhuowen gathered the Hushu clan members. He took out the divine ship and flew south. The mountain range they were in was close to the southern border of the witch god boundary. Hence, if they wanted to leave the witch god boundary as soon as possible, they could only leave through the southern border. As they already knew that their whereabouts might be discovered, they didn't intentionally hide their tracks. Instead, they flew as fast as they could. Not long after Zhuowen and the others left, a huge beast appeared in the sky above the mountain range they were in. God bless, Mo Fengyu and the elite cultivators of the Witch God clan stood on the back of the beast. Most of the Nuwa clan's troops were stationed at the border of the Witch God boundary. The guards were monitoring the border. Once they discovered Zhuowen's whereabouts, they would inform them immediately. God bless leaped into the depths of the mountain range. After checking it out, he smirked. Someone just went through a heavenly tribulation here. It's a cosmic Dharma tribulation. Looks like it's Zhuowen and the others. They're pretty fast. Have they moved so quickly? Mo Fengyu hurriedly came behind God Bless and said respectfully in a low voice, Master God Bless, there's news from the southern border. They've discovered Zhuowen and the others. They're currently barging into the border. Let's go. God Bless narrowed his eyes. He waved his sleeve and led Mo Fengyu and the others toward the southern border at a faster speed. Meanwhile, at the southern border, a troop of thousands had already surrounded the godly ship that Zhuowen and the others were on. Duan Jiping looked at the cultivators with human heads and snake bodies in the troop and scoffed. The Niwa clan is really persistent. It's been so long, but they're still in the witch god boundary. Brother Zhua, leave this troop to me. You guys go first. As he spoke, Duan Jiping leaped out of the godly ship. He formed a palm with his right hand and slammed it forward. Instantly, a terrifying energy gushed out like a tidal wave, condensing into a huge palm in midair. The palm came crashing down like a falling mountain. It landed in front of the cultivators in front. It's a cosmic Dharma powerhouse. These cultivators were the elites of the Niwa clan. They had good eyesight and could tell Duan Jiping's strength at first glance. However, although they had good eyesight, their strength was nothing to scoff at. Duan Jiping destroyed them with one palm strike. There were hundreds of elite cultivators in front of them. Most of them were killed instantly, while the rest were severely injured. Chapter 4172. The moment the divine ship left, Duan Jiping turned his head slowly with his sharp eyes and scanned a remaining cultivator army around him. All the Niwa clan cultivators who met Duan Jiping's gaze lowered their heads, not daring to look him in the eye. They trembled with fear in their eyes. It would be too easy for a cosmic Dharma adept to destroy all of them if such an adept wanted to. How dare you stop me? Duan Jiping asked calmly. Everyone looked at each other and stepped back instinctively. However, they did not leave the encirclement because of that. They were under God Bless's orders to stall Zhuowen and Duan Jiping at all costs. If they could not do that, what awaited them would be a punishment worse than death. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Duan Jiping was also a smart person. Naturally, he knew that these people were stalling for time. Therefore, he did not plan to waste any time and attacked without hesitation. He casually threw out a palm strike. The palm print contained endless laws that shook one's soul. Another few hundred cultivators were killed by the palm strike. Duan Jiping kept throwing out palm strikes. With just 3 palm strikes, the cultivator army that surrounded him was completely annihilated. Only scattered cultivators who were scared out of their wits fled in all directions. Duan Jiping did not bother to chase after them. He took a step forward with his right foot and flew out of the southern border of the magical realm. Not long after Duan Jiping left, God Bless arrived with a group of people. God Bless's eyes were filled with rage when he saw the mess at the southern border. How dare you kill so many of our Niwa clan cultivators in public? You must have a death wish. Then, God Bless ignored Mo Fengyu and the others. He took a step forward and entered the void, chasing after Duan Jiping. Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua looked at each other. After a moment of hesitation, they had no choice but to follow him obediently. Patriarch, we've sworn to the heavenly Tao that we can't go against Zhuowen and the others. If we follow Master God Bless to fight against Zhuowen and the others, I'm afraid we'll suffer from the heavenly Tao's backlash. Mo Liuhua said worriedly. Mo Fengyu's face darkened. He sighed heavily and said, "How can I not know about that? It's just that we've already fallen into a dilemma, so we can only take one step at a time." Even though the backlash of the heavenly Tao wasn't life-threatening, it would absolutely have an extremely great impact on one's Tao heart. Not only would it be impossible for one to advance in the future, one's cultivation might even regress instead of advancing. As long as it was a cultivator who had sworn an oath to the heavenly Tao, they would never go against their oath unless it was absolutely necessary. This was also the concern of Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua. Suddenly, the communication jade talisman at Mo Fengyu's waist flashed. He frowned, but still took it off. When he read the message in the communication jade talisman, his expression became extremely strange. Mo Liuhua was curious after seeing Mo Fengyu's expression. He asked, "Ancestor, who sent you the message?" "It's Zhuowen," Mo Fengyu said strangely. Mo Liuhua was stunned, and then he said with disbelief, "What? This guy is too daring. He must know that the witchcraft clan has been hunting them for a long time under God Bless's orders. He actually dared to send you a message?" Then he said, "What did he say?" Mo Fonyu hesitated for a moment, then said in a low voice, "He wants to ally with us to destroy God bless together." In the blue sky to the south, a divine ship shot across the sky like a comet. On the deck, just as Zhuowen put away the communication jade talisman, Duan Jiping happened to fly across the sky and land on the deck. "Brother Zhua, who are you sending a message to?" Duan Jiping glanced at the communication jade talisman Zhuowen had just put on his waist and asked with a smile. "Mo Fonyu." Zhuowen smiled faintly. Duan Jiping's eyes narrowed, and he frowned. "Brother Zhua, Mo Fonyu and the others have already joined the Nuwa clan. Why are you sending them a message?" "I want to work with them to kill the experts sent by the Nuwa clan this time. During this period of time, we've already asked around. The expert that the Nuwa clan sent this time is called God Bless. He should be an early-stage cosmic dharma expert. If we work together, we might be able to kill him. I just don't know if Brother Duan dares to try it with me." Zhuowen smiled faintly. Duan Jiping chuckled. "Why wouldn't I? The Nuwa clan has forced me into a corner all these years. I can't wait to kill every single one of them. God Bless used to be one of the people who hunted me down. I wanted to kill him for a long time." Duan Jiping frowned. "But Mo Fonyu and the others are fence-sitters. They're not reliable. Working with them is like asking a tiger for its skin." Zhuowen shook his head and smiled. "Brother Duan, have you forgotten that Mo Fonyu and the others swore to the heavens? They can't go against us. If they do, they'll be devoured by the heavens. Of course, if we were still as strong as before, Mo Fonyu and the others would never work with us. But now, I've already revealed to them that you've successfully formed cosmic dharma. I think they're smart people. They don't have much of a choice. Even if they don't agree to work with us, it doesn't matter to us because they can't attack us. Once they work with us, we'll have a huge advantage. This is to our advantage. There's nothing to lose." Duan Jiping couldn't help but give a thumbs up. Zhuowen's move was brilliant. The divine ship stopped in the middle of the vast underworld. Zhuowen and Duan Jiping walked down the divine ship, while Shanling Yun and the others were still on the ship, hiding at the edge of the underworld. Clan leader. Is Master Zhua really going to fight God Bless for the Nuwa clan? Why don't we just run away? The Hushu clan members stood on the deck and looked at the two figures in the middle of the underworld worriedly. "We can't run away. God Bless is a cosmic dharma elite. His divine sense has a huge range, and he's already locked onto us. The longer we delay, the more God Bless can mobilize the Nuwa clan members to kill us. If that happens, we won't be able to escape." Shanling Yun said softly with a penetrating gaze. The deck was silent. Everyone finally understood what Zhuowen was thinking. This was indeed the best way to get rid of the Nuwa clan. Master Zhua hasn't reached the great carefree realm, right? Isn't it a little inappropriate for him to participate in this battle? Hame said worriedly. Shanling Yun smiled and said, "Don't underestimate my disciple. He's much stronger than you think, and he has many trump cards. When the time comes, he'll surprise all of you." The Hushu clan members looked at each other and doubted Shanling Yun's words. Chapter 4173. The vast underworld was shrouded in mist and clouds that looked like dragons. In the middle of the underworld, two slender silhouettes stepped on the calm water quietly. They seemed to be waiting for something with their eyes closed. Swoosh! A sharp air-piercing sound came from afar all of a sudden. Like a sharp arrow, it pierced through the vast mist and clouds in the underworld. The originally peaceful Jianghu was suddenly filled with water pillars that shot up into the sky. Meanwhile, the blurry clouds that filled the entire river were pierced through by the air-piercing sound. The rolling clouds rolled and parted as if they were split by a saber. In the middle of the underworld, Duan Jiping opened his eyes and looked ahead of the lake. The clouds parted as a silhouette came at lightning speed. The person was middle-aged. His face was fair and he was extremely handsome. However, his lower body was a snake's body that was covered in purple scales. The middle-aged man came from the edge of the underworld slowly. He was moving very slowly, but he appeared hundreds of feet away in the blink of an eye, as if he was teleporting. Wherever the middle-aged man passed by, the underworld would churn. Water pillars would rise, forming a majestic scene of water pillars reaching the sky. The middle-aged man was one of the Nuwa clan's cosmic dharma powerhouses, Shinyu. The water pillars shot into the sky and fell, forming a dense curtain of rain that was like a storm. Zhuowen and Duan Jiping had an extremely powerful cultivation base. The curtain of rain that was formed by Shan Yu's killing intent was blocked 1 foot away from them. Shan Yu glanced at Zhuowen eerily and eventually fixed his gaze on Duan Jiping. He frowned slightly. What a familiar aura. I met you before, haven't I? Shan Yu glanced at Duan Jiping coldly. Naturally, he could tell that Duan Jiping was in disguise. However, Duan Jiping's aura was familiar. As for Zhuowen, he did not care about him at all. A mere ant at the peak of the ancient star transformation realm did not deserve his attention. Duan Jiping did not answer Shan Yu's question. He smirked and said, "Cut the crap. We've been waiting for you here for a long time. Today, I'll take your life here." Shan Yu narrowed his eyes and laughed out loud. He said, "Take my life? Just based on the fact that you've only just entered the cosmic avatar realm. And this ant beside you, who's at the peak of the ancient star transformation realm?" After laughing, Shan Yu's eyes were filled with killing intent. He said, "Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Boom! A terrifying aura burst out of God Bless's body. Subsequently, a gigantic shadow stepped out of the void behind him. This cosmic avatar also had a human head and a snake body. It held a divine mace in its left hand and a lotus lamp in its right hand. Boom! Boom! The moment God Bless's cosmic form appeared, the entire river flowed in reverse and surged toward the sky. As for the falling rain, it stopped and hung upside down toward the sky. It was as if the entire Jianghu had become a transparent prison. Brother Zhua, remember what I told you. Step back first. I will create an opportunity for you. Duan Jiping whispered to Zhuowen, who was beside him. He also took a step forward and released his own cosmic form. Duan Jiping's cosmic form was covered in thick armor. Only a pair of crimson eyes could be seen as it stared coldly at God Bless's cosmic form. This aura, it's really you, Duan Jiping. You stray dog, you actually dare to stay in the southern region of the 100 Outer Realms. You must have a death wish. When Duan Jiping released all of his aura, God Bless suddenly looked excited. Although Duan Jiping had disguised himself, he couldn't hide his aura. God Bless was just too familiar with Duan Jiping's aura. Duan Jiping looked calm. As soon as he released his aura, he knew that he couldn't hide his identity anymore. However, so what? As long as he killed God Bless, the Nuwa clan would lose his trail again. It seems like you really want to kill me. Unfortunately, you're the one who's going to die this time. God Bless laughed out loud. He took a step forward, and the entire Jianghu shook. Countless water droplets turned into the sharpest hidden weapons and shot toward Duan Jiping. At the same time, God Bless merged with his cosmic form and charged toward Duan Jiping. Duan Jiping dared not slow down. He merged with his cosmic form and waved his hand to shatter the water droplets that were coming at him. After Duan Jiping blocked the first wave of water droplets, God Bless's cosmic form suddenly arrived. He swung the divine mace in his left hand and slashed Duan Jiping's waist. Clang! Duan Jiping scoffed. The huge cosmic form pulled out the divine sword from his waist. As soon as he swung the sword intention spread out like rain. As the sword and mace collided, heaven and earth shook. There were continuous, terrifying explosions. Meanwhile, the surrounding rain was torn into nothingness. Countless water dragons were formed in the huge Jianghu. Zhuowen retreated to the edge of the Jianghu quietly. He looked at the two huge cosmic forms that were fighting in the middle of the lake. He didn't intend to join in. On the other hand, Shan Lingyun and the others were stunned by this array. They had never seen a real fight between cosmic forms. They couldn't imagine how terrifying it would be. Today, however, they had truly witnessed the terror of a universal Dharma powerhouse. This battle is too terrifying. Senior brother, Zhuo shouldn't join in. Same looked at Zhuo, who was not far away, and said bitterly. The Hushu tribesmen nodded their heads. No matter how powerful they thought Zhuo was, they couldn't be so blind as to think that he could fight against cosmic forms. The two cosmic forms became fiercer as they fought. They fought from the top of the river to the bottom of the river, and from the bottom of the river to the sky. The sky seemed to have cracked, and the Jianghu seemed to have collapsed. Heaven and earth seemed to have been torn apart. Lao Tzu, look, those are two cosmic forms. Master Xinyu is fighting with the man with the surname Duan. The people from the witchcraft tribe finally arrived. On the back of the beast, Mo Yohua pointed at the terrifying fight between the two cosmic forms and said in fear. Mo Fengyu lifted his head slowly and looked at the terrifying fight. He tightened his grip on the communication jade token. Let's not go over for now. Let's observe the situation. Mo Fengyu took a deep breath and said softly. Mo Yohua opened his mouth. When he realized that Mo Fengyu had already made up his mind, he smiled bitterly and nodded his head. The battle continued. Soon, it reached its climax. The cosmic form with a human head and a snake body struck out with the mace in its left hand and the lotus lamp in its right hand. It exerted all of its strength, and its power was terrifying. Duan Jiping's cosmic form also exerted all of its strength. He drew out the two swords at his waist and charged out like a rainbow. Boom, 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 boom. The two cosmic forms collided. The terrifying aura seemed to have torn the sky apart and shattered the earth. The entire heaven and earth shook because of it. Upon closer inspection, Shenyu's cosmic form had the upper hand, while Duan Jiping's cosmic form was obviously suppressed. There were even cracks appearing on its nomological body. When the two cosmic forms were in a stalemate, Zhuowen, who was standing quietly at the edge of the Jianghu, stepped out slowly. His reserved aura surged out like an erupting volcano. His aura was like thunder, and his momentum was like a gale. Zhuowen's action immediately attracted everyone's attention apart from Shenyu and Duan Jiping, who were still in a stalemate. Chapter 4174. Senior Brother Zhua. Master Zhua. The Hushu people who were watching the battle at the edge of the lake naturally saw the young man walking toward the center of the lake. They exclaimed in shock. Zhuowen did not stop. He took a step forward, and it was as if he had crossed thousands of miles. He arrived at the center of the lake in the blink of an eye. The horrifying suppression of the cosmic Laksana came crashing down like an avalanche. It was enough to crush any cultivator below the great unfettered realm. Even an expert in the great calamity of universe would be injured by the horrifying suppression. However, Zhuowen stood tall. His robe swelled up like a ball, and a powerful aura burst out, resisting the horrifying suppression of the two cosmic Laksana. What? This guy isn't affected by the cosmic Laksana expert suppression at all? How is that possible? On the other side of the lake, Mo Fengyu stared at the young man, standing at the center of the lake with his eyes wide open. The battle between the two cosmic Laksana experts had reached its climax. The suppression that radiated from every move was extremely horrifying. Even Mo Fengyu, who was at the pinnacle of the great calamity of universe, who was at the center of the battle, could not be so calm. He could act as relaxed as Zhuowen. A mere ancient star turned into an ant. Die for me. Above the middle of the lake, God Bless, who initially had the upper hand, naturally noticed Zhuowen, who appeared below. He scoffed and waved his sleeve softly. An air blade that was consolidated by Dharma power fell from the sky. After unleashing the Dharma power air blade, God Bless ignored Zhuowen below and focused on fighting Duan Jiping. In God Bless's eyes, the air blade was enough to annihilate the insignificant ant below. Above the center of the lake, Zhuowen stood silently. He looked indifferently at the air blades that were getting closer and closer. He took a deep breath and said, Xiaohei, let me see what you've achieved during this time." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhuan flicked his finger, causing a blazing sword light to shoot out from his sleeve and shoot into the sky. The sword light emitted a dragon-like roar and instantly bombarded the chi blade. Then, Mo Fiu and the others were shocked to find that the chi blade formed by the Dharma power was easily destroyed by the sword light. When the sword light faded away, they discovered that the sword light's true appearance was a divine sword with 3 colors: purple, black, and gold. The divine sword's sharpness was oppressive, and its momentum was like a rainbow. Facing the pressure of the 2 cosmic forms, it did not show any signs of being suppressed. Instead, the more it was defeated, the braver it became. After destroying the air blades, the divine sword pierced through the 9 heavens. It pierced through the boundless law barrier and slammed into God Bless's cosmic form. God Bless was focused on fighting Duan Jiping. They did not care about Zhuan at all. When the divine sword, wrapped in a terrifying sword will, rushed toward him, he was finally alerted. He watched in horror as the divine sword, which had pierced through the law barrier on the surface of the cosmic form, grew larger and larger in his eyes. Bang! Like a comet, the sword gleam brushed past God Bless in the blink of an eye. It turned around in the air and returned to Zhuan. Drip! Drip! God Bless looked at his right palm in a daze. There was a ferocious wound that was an inch deep on his palm. Blood that contained boundless laws flowed out of the wound slowly and dripped onto the ground. He hurt Master God Bless? How is that possible? Even number 1 person on the Outer Realm Heaven leaderboard might not be able to hurt a cosmic form powerhouse with his ancient star transformation cultivation base. Mo Fiu and Mo Liuhua looked at each other. They were dumbstruck. Zhuan's sword was just too shocking. They recalled how they fought against Zhuan during the Battle of the Grave. They could not help but be shocked. With Zhuan and Duan Jiping's abilities, it would be a piece of cake for them to kill the 2 of them. Fortunately, they did not rashly follow God Bless and stand on the same side. Otherwise, they might have been killed by now. So powerful. On the other hand, the Hushu people were so excited that their faces were flushed. They looked at Zhuan with respect. A rank 8 astral soldier? No, it's not rank 8 yet, but it's infinitely close to it. I can't believe that an ant like you has an astral soldier of such a level. It's such a waste for you to have it. Give it to me. God Bless looked at the Taiyu sacred sword next to Zhuan in a sinister manner. Greed filled his eyes as he attacked Zhuan without holding back. However, Duan Jiping stood in front of God Bless the moment he attacked, blocking God Bless's attack. God Bless, I'm your opponent. Don't be distracted. Duan Jiping smirked mockingly. You're seeking death. God Bless was enraged. He fought Duan Jiping again while looking for an opportunity to attack Zhuan. Unfortunately, Duan Jiping's defense was impenetrable. God Bless did not have the opportunity to attack Zhuan at all. Meanwhile, Zhuan controlled the Taiyu sacred sword to join the battle. At the same time, he set up terrifying killing formations to attack God Bless. God Bless, who was supposed to have the upper hand, fell into a disadvantageous position due to Zhuan's participation. Especially the Taiyu sacred sword and Zhuan's killing formations that were constantly set up to harass God Bless. God Bless was annoyed and had many flaws. After God Bless destroyed the killing formations and the Taiyu sacred sword that attacked its vital spots, it revealed a huge flaw. Duan Jiping seized the flaw and performed the killing move that he had prepared beforehand. The complete version of the Astral Soldier Dark Chakra was thrown at God Bless's back. The Dark Chakra's eyes that were initially closed opened all of a sudden. A crimson beam shot out. The crimson beam was not eye-catching, but the destructive energy contained in it was terrifying. It had destructive power that could destroy heaven and earth. The crimson beam was extremely fast. It landed on God Bless's back in the blink of an eye. Clearly, God Bless did not expect Duan Jiping to perform the Nuwa clan's ultimate treasure, the Dark Chakra, at such a crucial moment. Fear filled his eyes. As a Nuwa clan powerhouse, he naturally knew the power of the dark chakra very well. Pucci, after the crimson beam penetrated God Bless's back, his chest exploded directly. The explosion was like a lit fuse that kept exploding in his body. God Bless's body, arms, legs, and head kept exploding. Blood splattered everywhere. At the same time, God Bless healed himself rapidly with his Dharma power and guarded his God soul that was deep between his brows tightly. He knew that as long as his God soul could be protected, he would be able to take the hit. Otherwise, he would die on the spot. However, Zhuowen and Duan Jiping clearly would not give him a chance. The two of them attacked at the same time and began attacking God Bless at lightning speed. Pucci, God Bless spat out another mouthful of blood. His body was tearing and regenerating. Blood was gushing out of his body. Chapter 4175. Explode. The moment God Bless left, Zhuan summoned a temporary dimensional portal and brought Duan Jiping away from the place. Meanwhile, he uttered softly, "Boom, boom." An endless series of explosions resounded throughout the entire space. It was continuous and unending. Zhuowen detonated all the killing formation runes that he set up during the fight with God Bless. Although God Bless was fast, he was still engulfed by the terrifying formation rune's explosion. He shrieked in agony. Zhuowen and Duan Jiping stood side by side on the lake far away. They watched the terrifying explosion above the center of the lake calmly. God Bless is indeed a veteran cosmic Dharma powerhouse. He took the Dark Chakra's attack head-on and escaped from the formation rune's explosion. Duan Jiping frowned slightly. His eyes were like torches. Naturally, he sensed that God Bless's aura was disappearing rapidly. Naturally, it was not because God Bless had died from the explosion. Instead, he had escaped completely. Zhuowen sighed softly. Although he and Duan Jiping had planned it perfectly, they thought they could kill God Bless completely. Unfortunately, they had underestimated God Bless's trump card. However, Zhuowen believed that even if God Bless managed to escape, he must have paid a terrible price. As God Bless escaped in a panic, Zhuowen's sharp eyes moved slowly and landed on Mo Fengyu and the rest who were far away. Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua were shocked. They then rode on their gigantic exotic beasts and rushed over. They knelt on the ground as soon as they got close. Master Shua, Master Duan, we were ignorant. We didn't know that the two of you had such powerful skills. We've offended you earlier. Please forgive us, masters. Mo Fengyu's legs were shaking as he spoke in a trembling voice. He was truly terrified. Even God Bless had suffered a great loss from the duo. One could see how terrifying their abilities were. There was no doubt that it would be too easy for Zhuowen and Duan Jiping to kill them and the witchcraft god tribe. Duan Jiping glanced at Zhuowen, signaling him to handle this. The two of you, please get up. You guys are very smart. You didn't agree to help us, but you also didn't attack us. This is considered as leaving you guys a way out. Let's go. I won't fuss about today's matter with you. Zhuowen waved his sleeve and said indifferently. Mo Fengyu and Mo Liuhua hurriedly expressed their gratitude and left in a hurry. Brother Zhua, are we just going to let them go? Duan Jiping's eyes flickered with killing intent as he watched Mo Fengyu and the others leave. They're no longer a threat to us. Besides, it's Mo Fengyu and the others' bad luck that we couldn't kill God Bless. When God Bless returned, they would definitely blame Mo Fengyu and the rest. By then, they would be doomed. Just think about it, Zhuowen said with a faint smile. Duan Jiping thought about it and couldn't help but give Zhuowen a thumbs up. He truly admired Zhuowen's meticulous planning. Let's go. We'll return to Hushu Realm first. After we're done there, Brother Duan, please come with me to Nuar Realm. Zhuowen said with a smile as he looked at Duan Jiping. Duan Jiping chuckled and said, Of course. Brother Zhua, you've helped me so much. I'm not an ungrateful person. Not long after Zhuowen Duan Jiping, and the others left Witchcraft Realm, the space above a vast wasteland at the western border of Witchcraft Realm was distorted. A figure in a sorry state appeared above the wasteland. Puffed. God bless held his glabella and spat out a mouthful of blood. His 7 orifices were bleeding, and he looked as ferocious as a ferocious ghost. Zhuowen, Duan Jiping, just you wait. I'll make you pay for this. God bless his face was pale and ferocious. The power of the dark chakra was too terrifying. He was still deeply affected, and his body was hovering between collapsing and reassembling. What infuriated him the most was that his god's soul deep in his glabella was severely injured. Initially, his god's soul could withstand the dark chakra eye's attack. However, as Zhuowen's killing formation exploded all of a sudden, his mind was in a mess. The dark chakra eye's attack seized the opportunity and blasted deep into his god's soul. It was this moment of absent-mindedness that almost caused his spirit to collapse. If it were not for the defense that the Grand Lord had given him back then in his god's soul, he would have died immediately. There was no way he could have escaped. God bless clenched his fist tightly. His eyes were filled with hatred. He dared not stay there any longer and continued to flee in the direction of Nuar Realm. While God bless was running for his life, Mo Fengyu and the rest immediately arranged for the talented juniors in their clan to move the elites of the Witchcraft God clan after they returned to Witchcraft Sacred City. They were preparing to leave Witchcraft Realm and flee to the north of the 100 Territories. Mo Fengyu and the rest were not stupid. They had no way out since Zhuowen and Duan Jiping could not get rid of God bless completely. If they did not arrange for the Witchcraft God clan to leave, they would never have the chance to leave again. By then, they might have to face the disaster of clan annihilation. Time flew by. When Zhuowen and Duan Jiping's divine ship arrived at Hushu Realm, they heard the news of the Witchcraft God clan being annihilated. It was said that after God bless escaped to Nuwa clan, the Grand Lord was enraged. He sent an army to surround Witchcraft Sacred City. Not only did they turn the huge sacred city into ruins, but they also slaughtered any cultivators who belonged to the Witchcraft God clan. The ruins of Witchcraft Sacred City were completely covered by mountains of corpses and seas of blood. It was a terrifying sight. Meanwhile, Mo Fengyu and the other important figures of the Witchcraft God clan had fled to the north long ago. Therefore, they managed to avoid the inhumane massacre. After the collapse of the Witch God Sacred City, the head of the Nuwa clan had sacrificed 30% of the population of the Witch God domain to an astral weapon fragment to punish Mo Fengyu and the others for their crime of escaping. Zhuowen was very calm after hearing the news. He already knew that Nuwa clan would not let it go. However, he did not expect the Grand Lord of Nuwa clan to implicate the innocent. 30% of the population of Witchcraft Realm was sacrificed. It could be described as inhumane. The Grand Lord is really cruel. He killed tens of millions of people just like that. When Duan Jiping heard this news, he was filled with righteous indignation. Zhuowen did not say anything. However, he did not look happy either. After all, he could not stand the Grand Lord's actions. After Zhuowen and the rest entered Hushu Realm, they headed straight to Hushu Sacred City, the core of Hushu Realm. They stayed in the hall along the way. After Huxley clan was annihilated, they had a rough understanding of the situation in Hushu Realm. Chapter 4176. Under the oppression of the 3 clans, although most of the cultivators swallowed their anger, there were still some forces that joined forces to resist the oppression of the 3 clans. Of course, these forces fighting the 3 clans head-on was no different from hitting a rock with an egg. However, these forces that joined forces were native forces of the Hushu Realm, and their understanding of the geography of the Hushu Realm far surpassed that of the 3 clans. Therefore, most of these resistance forces fought guerrilla warfare against the 3 clans and did not fight them head-on at all. This gave the cultivator armies of the 3 clans a headache. From the information that Zhuan obtained, he discovered that the core force of these resistance forces was actually the Hong sect that led the 4 Shenzhen and had been fighting against the 3 clans. The current leader of the Hong sect was Hong Shenwu. When Zhuan heard this news, he could not help but nod secretly. Hong Shenwu's cultivation path was to cultivate the righteous energy of heaven and earth. It was a completely different path. Although Zhuan did not walk the pure path of the righteous energy of heaven and earth, he knew that this cultivation path had boundless potential. Especially Hong Shenwu. He had cultivated the righteous energy of heaven and earth for countless years and had now reached a stage where he had accumulated enough. Therefore, Zhuan was not surprised that his cultivation could surpass the leaders of the 4 Shenzhen realm in a short period of time and become the leader of the alliance forces. TSK. Zhuan took out the communication jade and sent a message to Hong Shenwu. He now needed to confirm the location of Hong Shenwu and the others and then meet up with them. Just relying on Shanling Yun and the others to rebuild the Huxley realm was not enough. If Hong Shenwu and the others were willing to help rebuild the Huxley realm, it would obviously be able to help the Hushu realm recover faster. Soon, Zhuan received a reply, and then his expression immediately became gloomy. "Brother Zhuo, what happened?" Duan Jiping saw that Zhuan's expression was not very good and hurriedly asked. Zhuan said in a low voice, "Some of my friends are resisting the 3 clans. And now the 3 clans have sent a large number of experts to surround and suppress them. They are not in a good situation now. I need to go over and help my friends. Let's go together." Duan Jiping smiled. Zhuan didn't refuse. He nodded and headed towards the location Hong Shenwu gave him. The Red Cliff Mountain was located several thousand kilometers to the west of the ruins of the divine city of Hushu. It was a famous danger zone in the Hushu realm. The terrain was steep, lofty, and unapproachable. It was difficult to see the peak of the mountain. At that moment, the surroundings of the Red Cliff Mountain were faintly discernible. Numerous densely packed silhouettes surrounded the Red Cliff Mountain in a manner that covered the sky and covered the sun. There was a valley in the Red Cliff Mountain. At this moment, there was another group of cultivators in the valley. They were using their divine power to activate the powerful formation around the Red Cliff Mountain. Boom! Boom! Outside the Red Cliff Mountain, the cultivator armies of the 3 great clans were constantly attacking the formations and restrictions of the Red Cliff Mountain. Within the valley, Hong Shenwu's expression was grave as he looked at the countless attacks coming from outside the mountain. Luo Lingyu silently stayed by Hong Shenwu's side, her pretty face incomparably pale. Behind Hong Shenwu, the 4 Shenzhen sect masters also had ugly expressions. The white-haired Gue Jing came to Hong Shenwu's side and said in a deep voice, "Brother Hong, we can't go on like this. This formation won't be able to hold on for long. We're already at the end of the road. Now, the only choice left is to surrender." Heavenly Star, Sacred Lord's eyes flickered as he spoke. Long Duzi and Goddess Qingwan were silent. However, from their expressions, it could be seen that they were somewhat moved. Hong Shenwu flicked his sleeves and said in a deep voice, "We definitely can't surrender. If we surrender, the 3 great clans will definitely not let us go. In the end, we'll have to die. It's better to fight to the death. Moreover, Dao Wen has already returned. He's rushing over here. We still have hope." The instant Dao Wen was mentioned, Gue Jing, Heavenly Star's Sacred Lord, Long Duzi, and Goddess Qingwan's eyes all lit up. Back then, when Dao Wen's cultivation was still not high, he had already taken the lead and overshadowed the 4 of them. However, very quickly their eyes dimmed. Although Dao Wen was brilliant, there was still a large gap between him and the experts of the 3 great clans. After all, there were several experts at the ancient star transformation who were surrounding them this time. Back then, Dao Wen was only at the divine domain transformation. It was impossible for him to reach the level of the ancient star transformation in such a short period of time. Dao Wen has already said that he can destroy the 3 great clans when he returns this time. Hong Shenwu said calmly. Here, he knew Zhuan the earliest and understood the latter the deepest. As long as it was Zhuowen who said it, it would not be groundless. It must be something that he was confident in being able to do. When the four great Shenzhen sect masters heard this, they could not help but be stunned. Soon after, they shook their heads and did not take Hong Shenwu's words to heart. They only thought that Zhuowen was just boasting. When Zhuowen and the others steered the divine ship and arrived near the Red Cliff Mountain, they saw a large group of cultivator armies from the three great clans surrounding the Red Cliff Mountain in layers and layers, making it impossible for even a drop of water to leak through. The arrival of their divine ship naturally attracted the attention of the cultivator armies from the three great clans. One after another, unfriendly gazes shot over and landed on Zhuowen, who was standing on the deck. "Who are you?" Three figures with powerful auras flew out from the cultivator army. Their terrifying auras firmly locked onto Zhuowen's divine ship. Among the three figures, the leader was a burly, bearded man. He wore armor covered in blood-red chains, and his eyes flickered with a scarlet light. He licked his lips and looked at Zhuowen's group with hostility. One at the middle stage of the ancient star transformation, and two at the early stage. Zhuowen indifferently sized up the three of them. He did not answer the big man's question, and instead muttered to himself, Who the hell are you?" The burly man's gaze immediately became much sharper, and his voice became much colder. The killing intent in his eyes became even more terrifying. "The person who will kill all of you." Zhuowen stopped the divine ship and took a step forward. He seemed to have teleported and appeared before the burly man. After that, he lightly slapped out with his palm. It seemed slow, but it was actually swift like lightning and unstoppable. The burly man gazed at the simple palm strike as cold sweat dripped down his forehead. He was actually completely unable to notice when Zhuowen appeared. Especially this simple palm strike. It actually gave him the misconception that he was unable to dodge it. In the end, he watched helplessly as the palm strike descended onto his chest. After that, he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood as he fell from midair and crashed heavily onto the ground. After the burly man was heavily injured by a single strike from Zhuowen, the two early-stage ancient star transformation cultivators behind the burly man had only just reacted. Chapter 4177. Sir, we're from the three great clans. We hope you won't meddle in our affairs for the sake of the three great clans. As for the people of our three clans that you killed, we don't need to care about it. The two early-stage ancient star transformation cultivators couldn't help but warn Qinfeng after putting some distance between them and the three great clans. Zhuowen smiled. In his eyes, the three great clans weren't even worth mentioning. He didn't say anything else. Instead, he slapped out with his right palm, and a powerful palm energy descended from the sky toward the two early-stage ancient star transformation cultivators. No! The two early-stage ancient star transformation cultivators felt the terrifying palm energy descending upon them, and they couldn't move their limbs at all. They could only watch as the palm energy enveloped them. Pucci! The two early-stage ancient star transformation cultivators only had time to let out a miserable cry before exploding into a bloody mist, their bodies and souls destroyed. After Zhuowen killed the three leaders of the group in an instant, the other cultivators were all dumbfounded. They couldn't muster up any will to resist, and they all fled. After Zhuowen dealt with the three ancient star transformation stage experts in a straightforward manner, Hong Shenwu and the other members of the resistance forces in a valley within the Red Cliff Mountain stood motionless as if they had been petrified. They looked at the scene before them in disbelief, and some of them were even rubbing their eyes. When had Dao become so powerful? He'd actually killed a mid-stage ancient star transformation cultivator and two early-stage ancient star transformation cultivators with a wave of his hand. It had to be known that these three ancient star transformation realm experts had led the three great clans to hunt them down like stray dogs until they were at the end of their rope. When did Dao become so powerful? Gui Jing's lips trembled, and her voice was filled with disbelief. The Heavenly Star Sacred Master, Long Duzi, and Qinghuan Female Celestial Maiden looked at each other, their eyes filled with fear and respect. At the same time, they felt a sense of melancholy. Thinking back, Zhuan was only slightly stronger than them. How long had it been since then? He'd already left them in the dust. This was a huge blow to them. Junior brother Daowen has actually become so powerful. Beside Hong Shenwu, Luo Lingyu's beautiful eyes flashed with a trace of shock, but more than that, there was joy. Her relationship with Zhuowen had always been pretty good. When she saw how powerful Zhuowen had become, she was happy for him from the bottom of her heart. Hong Shenwu, on the other hand, was giggling foolishly, feeling a sense of pride in his heart. After all, Zhuowen was a member of the Hong sect. It was a great honor for the Hong sect. Outside the Red Cliff Mountain, Zhuowen casually caught a fleeing cultivator. After questioning him, he found out that the Resistance faction cultivators were still trapped in the Red Cliff Mountain. At this moment, Hong Shenwu had already ordered people to remove the formation around the Red Cliff Mountain. He laughed heartily as he rushed out, giving Zhuowen a big bear hug. He did not mind that his sloppy clothes might dirty Zhuowen at all. Zhuowen, on the other hand, did not mind. He hugged the sloppy Taoist in front of him tightly, feeling rather happy in his heart. This was because he realized that the sloppy Taoist cultivation had actually reached the early stage of the ancient star transformation, far surpassing the 4 Shenzhen sect masters. No wonder Hong Shenwu could become the leader of the Resistance faction. Junior brother Daowen, where have you been all this time? Why haven't we heard any news about you? Luo Lingyu asked softly as her beautiful eyes landed on Zhuowen. Hong Shenwu and the others also looked at Zhuowen curiously. Ever since Zhuowen left the Liyuan Master District, it was as if he had evaporated into thin air and disappeared without a trace. Zhuowen smiled and said, after leaving the Liyuan Master District, I went to Hushu Divine City. Right? Daowen is my alias. My real name is Zhuowen. Zhuowen? Could it be that Zhuowen who caused a huge commotion in Hushu Divine City? Gui Jing said, in surprise. Zhuowen nodded with a smile, admitting it. On the other hand, Hong Shenwu and the others gasped. Back then, Zhuowen stirred up a storm in Hushu Divine City, causing a sensation in the entire Hushu realm, and everyone took delight in talking about it. However, after Hushu Divine City was destroyed by the 3 great clans, Zhuowen's whereabouts were unknown. Many people thought that he had died. After recovering from his shock, Hong Shenwu thought of something and could not help but ask, Dao, Zhuowen, you didn't come back this time to tell me that you want to take back control of Hushu realm from the 3 great clans, right? Zhuowen shook his head. A trace of disappointment flashed in the eyes of Hong Shenwu and the others, but Zhuowen's next sentence made them open their mouths wide and dumbfounded. I came not only to take back Hushu realm, but also to destroy the 3 great clans, Goldwater, Purple Fantasy, and Divine Eye, Zhuowen said seriously. Hong Shenwu said with a bitter smile, Zhuowen, this joke is not funny. The 3 great clans all have great carefree realm experts, and your cultivation should only be at the peak of the ancient star transformation realm. I advise you not to do anything stupid. Wait until you are strong enough. Then, you can take revenge on the 3 great clans. Why do you have to choose such a sensitive time? Gui Jing and the others nodded repeatedly. With Zhuowen's growth speed, he should be able to reach the great carefree realm in a few decades or 100 years. At that time, he would have the confidence to challenge the 3 great clans. But now, they did not have enough confidence in Zhuowen. Zhuowen did not explain, but said indifferently, Sect Master, Senior Sister Luo, you can rest assured. The 3 great clans are not in my eyes. Hong Shenwu did not try to persuade him. He understood Zhuowen very well and knew that it was useless to try to persuade him. The others sighed in their hearts, thinking that Zhuowen was a little arrogant, but they did not say anything. Next, Zhuowen talked with Hong Shenwu and the others for a while, and roughly understood the current situation of Hushi realm. The Hushi realm was completely divided up by the three great clans. Other than the Jinshui clan, who was kind to the cultivators of the territory they had divided, the other two clans were not so kind to the cultivators of the territory they had notified. They almost killed all of them. They treated them like cattle and horses. And the territories divided by the three great clans were all guarded by a late-stage ancient star transformation expert, who would often join forces with the cultivator army to encircle and suppress the resistance forces that appeared in the realm. This time, the three great clans had joined forces and gathered most of the elite cultivator army to encircle and suppress Hong Shenwu's resistance forces. If not for Zhuowen's timely arrival, the resistance forces led by Hong Shenwu would have been doomed. Next, Hong Shenwu brought them to their hidden base. Zhuowen introduced Duan Jiping, Shan Lingyun, and the others to Hong Shenwu and the others. Of course, they did not know Duan Jiping's true cultivation, so they did not pay much attention to Duan Jiping. Chapter 4178. After the cultivator armies of the three great clans failed to encircle and annihilate the Resistance Alliance, news of this immediately spread like a clap of thunder. The three late ancient star transformation cultivators of the three great clans guarding the Hex realm were both shocked and enraged. They didn't expect that someone would appear out of nowhere and ruin their encirclement plan. What angered them even more was that the young man named Zhuowen, who had suddenly appeared and killed the leader of the cultivator armies, had issued a declaration that the cultivator armies of the three great clans had to withdraw from the Hex realm within 3 days. Otherwise, they would be killed without mercy. At the former site of the divine city of Hex stood a magnificent temple. After the destruction of the divine city of Hex, this temple was built by the experts of the three great clans. It was mainly used as a meeting place for the leaders of the three great clans stationed in the Hex realm. At this moment, the highest-level leaders of the three great clans stationed in the Hex realm were gathered in the depths of the temple. Bang! A muscular man with a bare upper body covered in complicated patterns slammed his hand on the table. You've gone too far. Who does this Zhuowen think he is? Not only did he kill the people of our three great clans, but he also arrogantly said that our cultivator armies had to withdraw from the Hex realm within 3 days. The muscular man was unable to restrain his anger, and his eyes burned with raging flames. This kid really is arrogant. Does he really think that there's no one in our three great clans? We'll wait for him in the temple. Let's see if he dares to come. The feminine man sitting across from the muscular man had an exceptionally cold expression as he sneered. On the other hand, the green-clothed man sitting on the other side frowned. He muttered Zhuowen's name, but didn't interrupt. The muscular man and the feminine man didn't notice the azure-robed man's strange behavior. Brother Qing Lin, Brother Lai Long, and I have decided to gather all our forces in this temple. I'd like to see if that Zhuowen dares to come. Brother Qing Lin, your Jinshui clan should also stand on the same side as us, right? The feminine man glanced at the silent, azure-robed man and asked in a neutral tone. He knew that Qing Lin had been very gentle to the cultivators of the Hushu realm when she ruled over the territory of the Jinshui clan. Compared to their brutal rule, Aobashi's territory was like a clear stream. It was because of this contrast that the feminine man and the burly man did not have a good relationship with Aobashi. Naturally, they wanted to drag Aobashi down with them. Aobashi frowned. He thought for a moment and nodded. All right. The feminine man and the muscular man were surprised by Aobashi's straightforwardness, but they didn't think too much about it. They thought that Aobashi had only agreed because of their pressure. After the three of them reached an agreement, they each sent a message to the realm guardians of their respective domains and received unanimous approval. However, what the two men did not know was that Qing Lin had received a secret message from Psycho Hong Fei. Although Aobashi's expression did not change, her heart was in turmoil, as if a huge wave had been set off. This was because the secret message that Psycho Hong Fei had given her was to assist Zhuowen in killing Lai Long and Inu as soon as he arrived at the Divine Hall. Aobashi did not understand Psycho Hong Fei's decision. After all, Lai Long and Inu were the higher-ups of the Purple Mirage and God's Eye. If she assisted Zhuowen in killing the two of them, wouldn't she completely offend the Purple Mirage and God's Eye? However, Aobashi did not dare to disobey Psycho Hong Fei's orders, nor did she dare to ask for the reason. Zhuowen stood tall on a hidden cliff. His eyes looked through the heavy fog in the direction of the Hushu sacred city in the north. Shan Lingyun and the other members of the Hushu clan followed behind him. Their expressions were very serious. Hong Shenwu and the others stood not far from Zhuowen. There was a trace of worry in their eyes. When the three leaders of the three clans said that they would wait for Zhuowen at the Divine Hall, Zhuowen decided to go to the Divine Hall personally to take back the old site of the Hushu sacred city. At the same time, he would also eliminate the three clans who did not surrender. Let's go. Today, we will take back the Hushu sacred city and chase the three clans out of the Hushu region. Zhuowen spoke softly. However, his voice was like a bell that rang in everyone's hearts. Then, he summoned a divine ship and appeared at the edge of the cliff. Zhuowen stepped in first, followed by the Hushu clan members. Finally, Hong Shenwu and the others hesitated for a moment. Then, they sighed softly and entered the divine ship as well. They had already prepared for the worst. Even if they died this time, they did not want to let the three clans have an easy time. Zhuowen could naturally see that Hong Shenwu and the others were in low spirits. However, he did not explain anything. After he completely took back the old site of the Hushu sacred city, they would naturally understand. After everyone entered the divine ship's deck, Zhuowen steered the ship away from the cliff. The Resistance Alliance's secret base was not far from the Hushu sacred city. It was about 10 hours away. When the divine ship arrived at the outskirts of the old site of the Hushu sacred city, they could clearly see that the divine hall built on the old site was heavily guarded. Visible to the naked eye, cultivator armies surrounded the divine hall in 3 layers. They vaguely formed a strange formation. These cultivator armies immediately noticed the divine ship approaching from afar. They immediately surrounded it, each of them brimming with killing intent. Who goes there? The cultivators who surrounded them asked Zhuowen with unfriendly expressions. Zhuowen slowly walked out from the ship's bow and said in a calm voice. The cultivator army, surrounding the divine ship, turned pale with fright. Zhuowen's name naturally resounded like thunder in their ears. They had not expected that this Zhuowen would dare to come to the divine hall alone. This kid was really courting death. Scram! Zhuowen did not waste any time. He only uttered a single word and brazenly attacked. He casually struck out with his palm. Terrifying energy surged out like dense raindrops and landed on the cultivator army. It was like an explosion, causing the cultivator army to explode and die. In the blink of an eye, the cultivator armies surrounding the divine ship were completely routed. More than half of them were dead or injured. Zhuowen flicked his finger. Countless energy blasts exploded, releasing even more terrifying energy that shot toward the rest of the cultivator army. In an instant, the astonishing number of cultivator armies fell into disarray. The casualties were even greater. Stop! A loud shout came from within the divine hall. 3 figures quickly rushed out and stood in front of the cultivator army, blocking the terrifying energy blasts. These 3 figures were the leaders of the 3 great clans stationed in the Hushu realm. They were Inu of the Purple Mirage, Lai Long of the God's Eye, and Qing Lin of the Jinshui clan. The one who shouted just now was Lai Long of the God's Eye. You are Zhuowen? Inu asked bluntly as he looked coldly at Zhuowen with a feminine expression. I am, Zhuowen said indifferently. I can't help but admire your courage. You actually dared to come to your death. When Zhuan's star arrived in an instant and slammed into the white life-bound star, an earth-shattering explosion erupted. Then, a rather ear-piercing shattering sound came from heaven and earth. Enyu was horrified to discover that his life's solitary star was only able to resist for a breath of time before it shattered. Among the countless fragments of the star, Zhuan's star arrived in the blink of an eye and ruthlessly bombarded Enyu's body. Enyu let out a miserable howl as his entire body exploded into a cloud of blood mist. He couldn't be more dead. The whole place was silent. The cultivator army of the three clans stared blankly at Enyu, who had turned into a cloud of blood mist in the blink of an eye. Enyu was at least at the late-stage ancient star transformation stage, and this Zhuan was only at the peak. Although there was a gap between the two, it couldn't be so big. The hot-tempered Lai Long was completely scared out of his wits as his entire body trembled. Enyu's strength was almost the same as his, but he couldn't even block a single move from the other party, let alone him. The star was like a hot knife through butter. After destroying Enyu, it didn't slow down and continued to rush forward. Its target was the frightened Lai Long. Oh my God, run! Lai Long no longer had any momentum to speak of. He immediately jumped up and screamed as he fled into the distance. He didn't even care about the troops he led. Unfortunately, no matter how fast Lai Long ran, he couldn't escape from Zhuan's palm. When the star caught up to Lai Long, the latter didn't even have the chance to use his life-bound star and was directly crushed to death. Even his soul didn't have the slightest bit of luck. As for the cultivator army, led by Lai Long and Enyu, after their two leaders died, they simply knelt on the ground and threw down their weapons, surrendering one after another. When Qing Lin saw this scene, his body couldn't help but tremble. The contempt in his eyes completely disappeared and was replaced by deep fear and alarm. This was the first time he saw such a terrifying peak ancient star transformation stage cultivator. His strength was considered extremely strong among the late-stage ancient star transformation stage cultivators. Facing an ordinary peak ancient star transformation stage cultivator, although he wasn't a match, a peak ancient star transformation stage cultivator couldn't kill him. However, this youth in front of him gave him a strong sense of danger. He didn't doubt that if this youth wanted to kill him, it would only take a single move. How could there be such a terrifying ancient star transformation stage cultivator in this world? Qing Lin couldn't help but think back to when Psycho Hongfei sent him a message, repeatedly reminding him not to go against Zhuan. It seemed that Psycho Hongfei had long known that this youth was not an ordinary ancient star transformation stage cultivator. His strength couldn't be estimated by an ordinary ancient star transformation stage cultivator. At the same time, Qing Lin was very glad that he didn't offend Zhuan in any way. Otherwise, he might have ended up in a dangerous situation. Zhuan waved his sleeve, and the terrifying star sank back into the depths of the ground, disappearing without a trace. Master, I'll leave this place to you from now on. I'll leave the rebuilding of Hushu City to you. By the way, you can mobilize the cultivator army of the three clans as you wish. I'll set up restrictions on them. If anyone dares to disobey, they'll immediately be activated and their bodies and souls will be destroyed. Zhuan turned to look at Shan Lingyun and said with a faint smile. Shan Lingyun giggled, and her eyes narrowed into crescents. The cultivator army of the three clans felt a chill run down their spines. Some of the more quick-witted ones immediately gave up on the idea of running away. They were very clear that with their strength, it was impossible for them to escape. Qing Lin smiled bitterly in his heart. Although he was a little dissatisfied with Zhuan's decision to use the cultivator army of the Jinshui clan as laborers, he didn't dare to raise any objections. After all, he had personally witnessed Zhuan's ruthless methods. How could he dare to raise any objections? Shan Lingyun led the Hushu clan members and began to assign tasks to the cultivator army of the three clans to rebuild Hushu City. Zhuan naturally fulfilled his promise and set up powerful restrictions on the cultivator army of the three clans. He handed the control of the array disk to Shan Lingyu. Chapter 4180. After dealing with the three clans' cultivator armies, Zhuowen's gaze fell on Qing Lin, who was standing to the side with a submissive expression. Qing Lin felt his scalp tingle when he sensed Zhuowen's gaze. He raised his head and smiled obsequiously. Lord Zhuo, do you have any other orders? Qing Lin will do whatever it takes for you. Zhuowen didn't seem to mind Qing Lin's sudden change in attitude. He said indifferently, Now, send a message to Psycho Hongfei. Tell him to come see me today. Otherwise, I will personally go to the Goldwater realm and flatten his lair. But he doesn't need to live anymore. Qing Lin's expression changed drastically. He didn't expect Zhuowen to ask Psycho Hongfei to come see him today. Moreover, if he didn't agree, he would go to the Goldwater realm and flatten Psycho Hongfei's lair. Qing Lin even wondered if he had misheard. Although Zhuowen was strong, he was only an ancient star transformation cultivator. Wasn't it a little too arrogant for him to be so rude to Psycho Hongfei? Still not going to send the message? Zhuowen glanced at the hesitant Qing Lin and said indifferently. Qing Lin's body trembled. After a moment of hesitation, he took out a communication jade talisman and contacted Psycho Hongfei. When Qing Lin received the reply, he was completely shocked. This was because Psycho Hongfei had agreed, without even asking the reason why Zhuowen had asked him to come today. What was even more unbelievable was that Psycho Hongfei had asked him to tell Zhuowen that he was sorry and ashamed. It seemed that Psycho Hongfei was very afraid of Zhuowen. Qing Lin looked at Zhuowen with a complicated gaze. The young man before him didn't have a strong cultivation base, but he could instantly kill Inu and Lai Long. Even Psycho Hongfei didn't dare to go against him. Who exactly was he? Lord Zhuo, Master has already set off. He will definitely arrive today. Qing Lin was even more cautious when facing Zhuowen. The news of the three clans' cultivator armies being defeated by Zhuowen spread extremely quickly. In the blink of an eye, most cultivators in the Hushu realm knew about it. For a time, the entire Hushu realm was in a frenzy to overthrow the three clans' cultivator armies. The various factions rose up in revolt and started the prelude to resistance. Meanwhile, the cultivator armies of the three major clans that were scattered throughout the Hushu realm had no will to fight, and they were being beaten back repeatedly by the opposing forces, suffering heavy casualties. Night fell, and Zhuowen and the others stayed in the temple on the old site of Hushu Divine City. However, the arrival of an uninvited guest broke the peace of this place. Psycho Hongfei, the realm guardian of the Jinshui clan, hurriedly rushed over and knelt before Zhuowen as soon as he entered the Divine Hall. Psycho greets Lord Zhuowen. Please punish me, S. Under everyone's gazes, Psycho Hongfei knelt on the ground and apologized to Zhuowen in a humble voice. At this moment, Zhuowen was sitting on the main seat in the Divine Hall with a playful smile on his face. He said calmly, The purple mirage and gods I received the news too slowly. They only found out today that their cultivator armies have been defeated. They've been defeated. In the Divine Hall, Duan Jiping, Psycho Hongfei, Qing Lin, Shan Lingyun, and a group of other important figures were also present. Psycho Hongfei hurriedly replied, Zhu Yangqi and Ling Xinghai have been in seclusion. As long as it's not something major, their clans don't dare to disturb them. It's mainly because this matter is too important that those two old fellows were forced to come out of seclusion. They should have made breakthroughs. Sir, can you deal with them? He had only cultivated for a few years, but his alchemy Dao and array Dao had already reached the first heavenly layer of Eternal Realm. If some old guys knew about this, they would definitely be ashamed. Zhuowen comprehended it for a few more days, and he decisively gave up after he noticed that it was like trying to put out a burning cart with a cup of water. Instead, He walked out of Hushu City to take a stroll and relax, or exchange his experiences with Duan Jiping, and he benefited greatly from it. Finally, half a month after the Hushu domain was rebuilt, a dense mass of shadows appeared in the distant sky. Waves of terrifying killing intent surged out from the shadows and rained down on the surroundings of Hushu City. During this period of time, due to Shan Lingyun's widespread distribution of hero invitations, the originally deserted surroundings of Hushu Holy City could be said to be extremely lively. Even the Hushu Holy City had an endless stream of people coming and going. When the terrifying killing intent surged over, all the cultivators inside and outside the domain changed their expressions drastically. They looked fearfully at the large mass of shadows that was rapidly approaching. Those with sharp eyes immediately realized that the shadows weren't dark clouds, but an army of cultivators with imposing auras. Oh no, that's the army of cultivators from the Purple Mirage and God's Eye. They're going to attack the Hushu domain. Oh no, why are there so many cultivators in the army? There are at least 100,000 of them. The Hushu domain can't contend with them. Ling Xinghai narrowed his eyes and said coldly, "Arrogant brat, since you're so confident, do you dare to fight me? I'd like to see if you're as capable as you claim." Zhuowen raised his head, looked at Ling Xinghai indifferently, and said sarcastically, "Trying to goad me? What cheap trick?" Ling Xinghai retorted, "Think what you want. I think you're just an ant who doesn't dare to talk big. I can come out and fight, but you're not qualified." Zhuowen said indifferently. Ling Xinghai was furious. He said coldly, "You're just an ancient star transformation cultivator, and I'm already at the late stage of the universe tribulation. You say I'm not qualified? Isn't that too ridiculous?" Zhuowen didn't speak. He raised his right hand and pointed at Zhu Yangqi, who was beside Ling Xinghai, and said with a slight smile, "If you two fight together, you're barely qualified." Ling Xinghai and Zhu Yangqi's pupils shrank into needles.